Chapter 22:14. What? Hearing this, the expressions of Sophia, Minerva, and the other sages changed drastically. It was as if they had eaten a toad, and their faces were as black as charcoal. They could also feel how terrifying the power of the curse that had seeped into their bodies was. In just a breath's time, it seemed to have spread throughout their entire bodies. No, no, no. Save me, save me. Hurry up and save me. The black-robed saint, who was the most heavily injured, screamed. He felt as if he had fallen into an illusion, and countless terrifying ghosts were tearing at his soul. It was as if this was a power from hell. Even though he had an immortal body, it was useless against the power of the curse. His body, his soul, and his magic were all deteriorating and decaying. In an instant, his entire body began to decay, and a terrifying black aura filled the air. Retreat, hurry up and retreat. Minerva and the other sages were scared to death, and their hair stood on end. They could clearly see that every corner of the black-robed saint's body was surging with a terrifying curse aura. The black aura condensed into demons that were madly devouring the flesh and blood of the black-robed saint. All of his life force was completely devoured by the power of the curse. In just a breath's time, the flesh and blood of the black-robed saint were all gone, and all that was left was a pile of bones. It was as if they had been dead for billions of years, and the aura of the Angel 5, decay, spread from his body. Help! Help! Help me, help me! The black-robed saint screamed, but the aura on his body was getting weaker and weaker. He was like an old man who was about to die, and all that was left of his body were bones. Everyone could see that he was in a terrible state. However, none of the sages dared to go near him. After devouring the black-robed saint's flesh and soul, the power of the curse seemed to have been nourished and strengthened, and the powerful aura kept rising. If they dared to go near him, they would immediately be corroded by the power of the curse and follow in the black-robed saint's footsteps. In the next second, the black-robed saint could no longer say anything, because the power had completely corroded his soul, and in the end, the aura of his soul completely dissipated. All that was left on the ground was a pile of black bones. The terrifying curse power lingered on them, and the curse power continued to spread, corroding the ground and forming the curse power. The surroundings were filled with an unpleasant stench. Quick, hurry up and expel the power of this curse. Otherwise, we'll definitely die. This is a forbidden power from the forbidden area of darkness. Even invincible saint might not be able to withstand it. The green-robed saint shouted angrily. He was shocked and furious. Minerva and the others had goosebumps all over their bodies. They clearly saw the black-robed saint's miserable state. That was a near-ancient saint, a powerful being who had comprehended the law of space. However, in just a few breaths' time, he had turned into a pile of bones without any resistance. Burn your magic power. Sky demon spontaneous combustion. Explode. The green-robed saint roared angrily. He naturally wanted to self-destruct. With a boom, his entire body exploded violently. All his flesh and blood were completely pulverized. The area within a radius of 1,000,000 kilometers was immediately smashed into a huge crater. All his flesh and blood shot out like blood rain, raining down on the ground. Immediately, the blood that was contaminated with the power of the curse corroded the ground, turning it black. Everywhere was filled with the power of darkness, and it turned into a demonic realm. With a whoosh, his soul also took the opportunity to escape, leaving his body. Whoosh, then, he absorbed the power of the origin of the universe and was quickly reborn. His flesh and blood were reborn, and he once again returned to his original body. He breathed heavily, and sweat poured down like rain. Even this works. In the dark, Xiaoping saw this and couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. He didn't expect there to be such a method. Facing the corrosion of the power of the curse, the green-robed saint made a prompt decision and immediately self-destructed. All the parts of his body that had been corroded by the power of the curse were completely destroyed, leaving only his soul. As a saint, as long as there was a soul, he could continuously be reborn and recover his body. This was actually like a lizard cutting off its tail to survive. One had to say that this was a very clever method. After all, once the power of the curse corroded their souls, they would never be able to escape. It was better to take advantage of the time when the power of the curse corroded their bodies to abandon this rotten body and cut off their limbs to survive. This also prevented them from following in the footsteps of the black-robed saint. Seeing this, Minerva, Sophia, and the other saints followed suit. They didn't dare to delay at all. They immediately shed their souls and self-destructed their bodies, completely isolating and destroying the power of the curse. How can I let you succeed? All of you die. A cold light flashed in Xiaoping's eyes. He couldn't just watch as the saints of the illusion race cut off their tails to survive. He would definitely hit them when they were down and take advantage of their weakness to kill them. Moreover, when the saints self-destructed their bodies, their vitality would be greatly damaged. This was their weakest moment, and also the best time to assassinate them. He couldn't miss this opportunity. Hell, suppressing devil spear, fourth form, destruction. In the blink of an eye, Xiaoping drew on his magical power, the blood of the golden crow of hell, his soul, and his true spirit, all of it fused together, causing him to emanate an aura of deathlessness. He took out the hell spear, condensed the power of hell, and silently stabbed towards the green-robed saint. Just like that, the hell's spear stabbed forward. Whoosh! The spear didn't make any sound, and it melded into the void. There were no fluctuations of magical power or space, as though it were coming from another dimension. Xiaoping's entire body had completely merged with the void. As he walked in the dimensional space, he was like a shadow in the depths of the darkness. His speed was so fast that even light couldn't catch up with him. No one could describe how terrifying this spear was. It was the ultimate level of the deathless level, and filled with destructive fluctuations. Dong! A moment later, the dark golden spear pierced through the body of the green-robed saint. The green-robed saint was completely dumbfounded. His eyes were wide open, and there was confusion, doubt, unwillingness, fear, and disbelief in the depths of his eyes. It was as if he did not know how his body had been pierced by a spear. He had just put his life on the line to escape from the curse power. Who could have guessed that there would be such a terrifying assassin lying in wait? In the blink of an eye, the hell spear emanated a destructive power that permeated the green-robed saint's body and soul. It was a power that could destroy anything and everything, like a god-devil. Boom! Even though the green-robed saint was a near-ancient saint who had comprehended the magical laws of space, he couldn't stand up to the attack. His entire body collapsed, and he turned into dust. One spear strike, and the green-robed saint was dead. Chapter 22:15. Too strong. After stabbing the saint to death, Xiaoping was extremely emotional. He felt that his spear had instantly destroyed all of the saint's life force. With the hell spear in his hand, he was like a god of the underworld that walked out of hell, harvesting the souls of living beings at will. With one strike of the spear, everything was destroyed. It could be said that this was the first time he fought with his full strength after becoming an immortal saint. In order to instantly kill the near-ancient saint who had comprehended the law of space, he gave it his all and didn't give the other any chance to escape. In this attack, Xiaoping gathered his magic power, soul power, and bloodline power, allowing him to unleash his potential to the extreme. He could vaguely sense that he seemed to have grasped a bit of the hell spear's power. It seemed that after using this strike, he already had the qualifications to control the hell spear. From the depths of the dark gold spear, the surging power of hell seemed to completely submit to him. This ancient power of hell that was inherited from the hell spear allowed him to completely control it. It was extremely tame, and it didn't seem to be a little sluggish like before. Is this the feeling of the law of space? Xiaoping squinted his eyes. In that strike, he used almost all of his speed. His whole body melded into the void, and it seemed like endless power of space was pouring into his body. He spread out his consciousness, and it was as if he was one with space. He felt the law of space, and it gave him a little bit of understanding of the law of space. Whoosh! Waves of strong mana surged out from the depths of his body, and his level was also increasing bit by bit. As expected, fighting with powerhouses could greatly increase the speed of evolution. Barty, it's you. How can you have this kind of power? And how can you plot against us? Sophia's pupil shrank. She had not yet recovered from the shock of a near-ancient saint being killed, and she immediately discovered that the killer who killed the near-ancient saint was a member of the Lawrence family, Barty. The problem was that Barty's power was at most in the transcendence realm. How could he kill a near-ancient saint who had comprehended the law of space? For an ant like this, if the near-ancient saint stood still, Barty wouldn't be able to pierce through his skin. But now, a near-ancient saint was indeed dead. Even though he was in his weakest state, it was undeniable that the spear contained a terrifying wave of attack that made her heart palpitate. He's not Barty. He can't be Barty. The real Barty doesn't have this kind of strength. Tell me, who are you? What is your purpose in invading the illusion race? Minerva was filled with murderous intent. He immediately sensed the huge mana waves coming from Xia Ping's body. This was the aura of an immortal saint, extraordinary and holy. There was no way it could be Barty, who was only in the transcendence realm. Now that things have come to this, there's no point in hiding it anymore. I really am not Barty. Xia Ping stood with his hands behind his back. I've already captured the real Barty, and I'm using Barty's identity to infiltrate the illusory tribe and gain some benefits. As for my identity and background, perhaps you have heard of my name before. I am Wu Wudi of the human clan. He openly admitted that he was not the real Barty. What? You are the human clan's Wu Wudi, the super wanted criminal? Minerva and the others shuddered. Of course, they had heard of the most famous wanted criminal in recent years. However, in their minds, this person was a human, and a young one at that. There was no way he could be related to the illusory tribe. Now, they had no idea when he had snuck into the illusion race. Damn it! How did you sneak into the illusion race? How did you pass the illusion race's test? Did your transformation technique pass the test of the peerless sacred tool, the Mist Mirage Pearl? One of the red-clothed saints was shocked. He could not understand. He did not know how this Wu Wudi had snuck into the illusion race, which was heavily guarded. This should be impossible. You don't need to know that. You're about to die anyway, so there's no point in knowing more. Xia Ping said calmly. He had no interest in exposing his secret to these people. They were all about to die anyway, so there was no need to explain anything. What a joke. Do you think you got us? Although I don't know what method you used to use the curse power to greatly injure us, the strength of us near ancient saints is not something you can imagine. The red-clothed saint sneered. His face was ferocious. A puny immortal saint, and one who had just entered the immortal realm, dared to speak to a near-ancient saint with such a tone. Although they were injured, a starving camel was still bigger than a horse. They were definitely not someone a puny immortal saint could compare to. Moreover, there were 3 of them. Stupid human bastard. If you had stayed in the dark and ambushed us, you might have had a chance to live. But now you're so arrogant, and you even dared to attack us in public. You really don't know what's good for you. Today, I'll show you how powerful a near-ancient saint is. Die. Minerva waved his hand. Rumble immediately, with his body as the center, terrifying spatial ripples spread out. Countless layers of space twisted crazily. Such ripples were enough to destroy a planet and a low-grade sacred tool. Peerless divine ability. 1,000 forms star palm. At this moment, Minerva stood on the ground like a demon god. He slammed his palm towards Xia Ping, creating a terrifying destructive ripple and distorting the space. 1,000 forms star diagram appeared in the void, covering the starry sky and everything. Under his palm, layers of space were instantly shattered. Countless dimensional spaces were like mud in his hand, easily pinched together by him, madly compressing them and condensing them into an unparalleled power. In an instant, thousands of spaces shattered at the same time. Terrifying black holes appeared. From the depths of the black holes, densely packed stars seemed to appear. Endless starry power descended. These powers all gathered together and pressed down. It was as if the entire world was about to explode. Stars trembled, mountains and rivers shattered, heaven and earth shook, and yin and yang reversed. This was the true power of a near ancient saint. One strike could shatter a world. Although Minerva was severely injured and had lost a lot of vitality, as a near ancient saint who had comprehended the law of space, his palm strike was still unstoppable and could destroy everything in its path. However, it was natural for him to have such power, because once he comprehended the law of space, his body would crystallize and transform into space. Every cell could contain more than 1,000 times more magic power than before. Such a person was like a star, a sun, containing endless energy. One strike was equivalent to a star's full power. One could imagine how terrifying this power was. Chapter 22:16. This is a near ancient saint who has comprehended the laws of space. This power is not to be underestimated, but it's not impossible to fight. Xiaoping squinted his eyes. As a near ancient saint, Minerva's attack was absolutely earth-shattering. He displayed the invincible style of a near ancient saint and tried to suppress Xiaoping with his strength, displaying the domineering nature of a near ancient saint. Moreover, he stood where he was, but his body melded with space. Thousands of layers of folded space appeared around him, exuding an ancient aura. He was practically undefeatable. With this kind of power, he could easily smash an undying saint into meat paste with a single slap. It was no wonder that Minerva was so confident that he was far stronger than an undying saint. But Xiaoping was no ordinary undying saint. He had the bloodline of the Golden Crow of Hell and was extremely talented. The amount of mana he could contain was more than 1,000 times greater than a normal immortal sage. Not to mention, he also cultivated the pure Yang immortal incantation and the Panwu true scripture, which opened up the 9 purple palace dimensions. The amount of mana he could contain was even more terrifying. It could be said that even though he had not reached the level of a near ancient saint and had not comprehended the laws of space, his mana was no weaker than any near ancient saint. His power even surpassed that of a near ancient saint. He was like a legend that walked out of chaos. Kill. Thinking of this, Xiaoping did not hold back. He took a deep breath and immediately absorbed the natural energy within billions of kilometers into his stomach. At the same time, he activated his bloodline power. Bloodline God Art, Golden Crow Claw of Hell. In an instant, he took a step forward and struck out with his claw. The power of every cell in his body exploded, and like the Yellow River, he gathered all the power in his fist. More than 7 billion Golden Crow cells in his body vibrated at the same time. Terrifying Golden Crow flames spread out, as if countless hellish runes were condensing in the deepest part of his fist. Vaguely, there seemed to be the shadow of a Golden Crow of Hell appearing behind him. The scorching flames burned, and even the surrounding space collapsed, creating waves of intense spatial ripples. Right now, the power of the infernal Golden Crow's flames was strong enough to affect space. It was like a sun had descended. Waves of heat rolled out, sweeping through the 9 heavens and 10 earths. It was like a furnace that illuminated the ages and burned time and space. The power of this claw was simply earth-shattering. It reached out towards Minerva's palm. Dong! This claw immediately suppressed the spatial ripples from Minerva's 1,000 manifestations starlight palm. It was as if a single claw could destroy countless layers of space. This was like an archaic claw that slammed down, directly smashing this huge hand into pieces. All of the magical power disintegrated and completely dissipated, no longer existing. All of the divine abilities and talismans turned into powder. Minerva was caught off guard. He didn't expect this claw to be this powerful. The giant claw pierced through the void, and a terrifying shockwave slammed into his body. With just one strike, he was sent flying. He coughed up blood on the spot and flew for hundreds of millions of kilometers in the depths of the dimensional space. The space around him was constantly being destroyed. Impossible. Minerva looked at Xiaoping in shock. A look of disbelief appeared in the depths of his eyes. You're at most at the immortal realm. How can your magical power be so terrifying? You can actually surpass me, a near ancient saint who has comprehended the spatial laws. This is impossible. How did you do it? He couldn't believe it. This was simply unheard of. As an immortal saint, he didn't comprehend the spatial laws. His body didn't crystallize, so there was actually a limit to the amount of magical power his body could absorb. However, it was different for a near-ancient saint. Every cell was like an independent spatial world. Their magical power was thousands of times greater than an immortal saint's. How could an immortal saint be a match for a near-ancient saint? They weren't even on the same level. But now, this kid clearly hadn't comprehended the spatial laws. Just his physical strength alone was enough to force him back. If news of this spread, who knew how many people would be shocked? If this kid comprehended the law of space, then how terrifying would he become? Minerva couldn't even imagine such a thing happening. Don't be afraid of him. So what if his magical power is strong? No matter how strange his body is, he can't fight against us near ancient saints who have comprehended the spatial laws. I don't believe that even if I can't beat you right now, I can't exhaust you to death. The other red-clothed saint sneered. He flew out and attacked Xiaoping. Even after seeing Xiaoping's peerless divine ability, even though he was shocked, he was still brimming with confidence. After all, near ancient sages who had comprehended the laws of space not only had their magic power increased by 1,000 times, but their magic power recovery speed was also 1,000 times faster than undying sages. With just a slight breath, they could immediately form a whirlpool and absorb the boundless energy in the depths of the dimension. They were basically eternal battle machines. Even if they fought for tens of thousands of years, their magical power wouldn't be exhausted. Mid-grade saint artifact, Crimson Dragon Scepter. Kill him. The red-clothed saint took out a mid-grade saint artifact, the Crimson Dragon Scepter. At the top of the scepter was a lifelike dragon's head. It emitted a horrifying draconic aura and caused the surrounding space to tremble violently. In reality, this mid-grade saint artifact was made from the corpse of a crimson dragon. It contained an unparalleled draconic aura and possessed the origin power of the crimson dragon. It was unparalleled in killing. Boom! He held the crimson dragon scepter in his hand and smashed it towards Xiaoping. He seemed to have communicated with the dragon dimension, and a huge amount of the dragon race's origin energy descended, condensing into a supreme crimson dragon, surrounded by terrifying flames. The crimson dragon let out a deafening roar. The surrounding space shook violently and became solid. It was like a ripple that destroyed the space. It seemed like this aura could rule the world and kill all living things. The terrifying draconic power exploded. It was extremely violent. Even a world could be easily destroyed. This was the dragon of destruction. Idiot, you want to exhaust me to death? You were able to cultivate to the near-ancient saint level and comprehend the spatial laws. I didn't expect you to be unable to see the difference between you and me. It won't take long to kill you. Even if you were at your peak, I would still be able to crush you, let alone now that you're extremely weak. With a swoosh, Xiaoping grabbed with his hand. With a thought, the golden slime immediately turned into a golden sword. There were 6 gems carved on it, shining brightly. He held the golden sword and stood on the ground. Immediately, he felt a boundless power of the earth coming from the depths of the earth. It was as if he had become one with the earth and was indestructible. Chapter 22:17. Although the golden slime had not completely devoured the 6 gems, it had absorbed a portion of their power, which increased the power of the sword by several levels. Xiaoping held the golden sword and felt like his power had increased by several times. Kill! His eyes flashed coldly. His aura was raised to its peak, and he slashed at the red-clothed saint. Immediately, a golden sword light tore through the sky. It contained the laws of vibration and produced a terrifying sharpness. It seemed like the sky and earth were being cut in half. The golden sword light seemed to be the only thing left in the entire space at that moment. Even space was easily sliced apart by the golden sword light, making cracking sounds. Dong! It was just a single strike, and the crimson dragon couldn't resist at all. Its massive body was sliced in half, and all the world's essence chi dissipated. Impossible. That was an attack that I used all of my strength. I even used the Crimson Dragon Scepter, a mid-tier sacred artifact. Even a near ancient saints would have to retreat. How could you shatter my attack with a single strike? Are you kidding me? The red-clothed saint could not believe his eyes. He could not accept this reality. He could not even do anything to a puny immortal saint. Even though he was heavily injured and could not use his full power, this should not have been the result. No matter how weak a lion was, it could easily kill a rabbit. Impossible? Nothing is impossible. You're already at the end of your rope. Don't think that you could be tyrannical and unbridled just because you've comprehended the law of space. In front of my golden sword, even space can be cut open. Xiaoping's body emitted a terrifying aura. He stood on the ground, and his power seemed to be increasing endlessly. He was no weaker than any near ancient saint. Even though he had yet to comprehend the law of space, his own mana alone was enough to shake any near ancient saint, not to mention the fact that he had the support of the law of earth within the golden slime's body, which increased his combat effectiveness by several folds. I do not believe such a ridiculous thing exists in this world. A puny, immortal saint dares to be so arrogant in front of me? I will kill you this time. I will make sure you die without a grave. Burn the source, Red Dragon's fury. The red-robed saint had gone crazy. He actually started to burn the universe's origin energy within his body. This was equivalent to burning his soul and burning the undying substance in his body. This would greatly consume his soul energy and heavily injure his body. He might not be able to recover even after billions of years, and he might even fall into an eternal slumber, unable to reach higher realms. However, in order to kill this human, Wu Wudi, he had risked his life. If he didn't kill this human, they wouldn't be able to survive today. Boom! In an instant, he held the Crimson Dragon Scepter in his hand, and his entire body burned with magical power. Terrifying energy poured into the deepest part of the scepter. A terrifying crimson dragon was born, burning with crimson flames and burning the void. Tens of thousands of spaces shattered under this aura like glass, cracking and cracking. Crimson Dragon's fury. Legend has it that the Scarlet Dragon was the most irascible dragon in the dragon race. Once an enemy angered the Scarlet Dragon, it would immediately give birth to a terrifying rage that could destroy even the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Furthermore, the angrier it was, the more terrifying the power of the Crimson Dragon would be. It was practically limitless. One could imagine how terrifying the red-robed saint's fury of the Red Dragon was. It was a desperate move. His lifespan, magical power, soul, flesh, and blood were all completely burned. Whoosh! When the Crimson Dragon appeared, it wailed like ghosts and howled like wolves. Balls of crimson flames surged out from its body, like blood, forming a sea of flames that filled the sky. Even the space around it was burning, creating many large holes. Stubborn fool, die. All living creatures die under this earthquake. Their bodies return to the earth, and their souls return to the ultimate. Everything will turn into chaos and nothingness. Xiaoping did not even look at it. He held the golden sword in his hand and slashed again. Rumble, with his body as the center, a terrifying vibration was produced. Circles of vibration laws spread out, causing a terrifying earthquake. The void within a radius of billions of kilometers trembled, destroying everything. This was a spatial storm that caused the entire world to tremble. When this power swept out, all other powers turned into nothingness and completely collapsed. The raging Scarlet Dragon was easily defeated, and the flames on its body were completely extinguished. Impossible. The red-robed saint went completely crazy. I didn't even attack, and this skill was destroyed. Are you even human? How can a mere undying saint have such power? He is even stronger than the near ancient saints. This is ridiculous. He cannot accept this fact at all. Kill. Xiaoping didn't even bother talking to him. He slashed down once more, shaking the void. This sword's speed was unbelievably fast, surpassing the speed of light. It was as if under this sword, even time had slowed down. Everyone's consciousness entered a sluggish state. Animal, stop! Minerva and Sophia, the two near-ancient saints, saw this scene and their expressions changed. They could feel that the red-robed saint was in great danger, so they quickly attacked. They grabbed out with their hands, causing the space to twist. Countless spatial energies gathered together, forming thousands of spatial barriers that tried to block this sword. Damn it! The red-robed saint was scared half to death. His hair stood on end. There was no time for him to be in a daze. He immediately used the power of the space law on his body, enveloping his entire body with hundreds of thousands of spatial barriers. He simply wrapped himself up like a mummy. This defensive power surpassed that of a normal mid-grade saint artifact. It's useless. This sword of mine contains the resonance law, vibration law, and earth law. It's invincible. Even the space law won't be able to block it. A cold glint flashed in Xiaoping's eyes as the golden sword light blasted over. Whoosh! As expected, the golden sword light easily sliced through the space. The thousands of spatial barriers were even weaker than tofu and couldn't block it at all. In the end, it directly bombarded the red-robed saint's body. No, no, no! The red-robed saint screamed. His pupils constricted and he was extremely terrified. He felt as if an underworld god had descended to take his life and bring him to the 9 underworlds. However, he couldn't struggle because the sword was too fast. It was so fast that he couldn't dodge it at all. With a dong sound, his entire body was cleaved into 2 halves, splitting from the middle. A large amount of blood mist was thrown out, and even his soul was easily cleaved into 2 halves, completely shattering. The red-robed saint was dead. Chapter 22:18. Whoosh! After killing the red-robed saint with 1 strike, Xiaoping grabbed the red-robed saint's middle-grade sacred artifact, the Crimson Dragon Scepter, which was considered a relatively precious Dharma treasure. There was also the red-robed saint's flesh, which contained supreme essence of flesh and blood. It was of great benefit to nourish the land. If it was used to water the spiritual herbs, there would probably be many more sacred herbs. After all, using the flesh and blood of a near-ancient saint to water the spiritual herbs was simply a supreme tonic. He could not imagine how extravagant this was. He could not let go of such a treasure. You beast! How dare you kill a near-ancient saint of my illusion race in front of me and steal his flesh and blood? I want you dead. I want you to die without a burial place. At this moment, seeing this scene, Minerva's eyes were wide open. He was trying his best to be completely enraged. There were not many experts in the illusion race, and every saint-level expert was a precious character. Now that Wu Wudi had killed one of them, how could this be? This was simply destroying the roots of the illusion race. High-grade sacred artifact, Kitagarbha. Minerva was completely enraged. He took out one of his natal Dharma treasures, which had reached the level of a high-grade sacred artifact. The reason why his strength was above that of many near-ancient saints was that he had a high-grade sacred artifact, Kitagarbha. Legend had it that this saber was a supreme sacred artifact passed down from the Buddhist sections. However, after the primordial war, it was lost in the depths of chaos. Finally, after countless twists and turns, it was actually obtained by Minerva. With this high-grade sacred artifact, Kitagarbha, his strength had practically doubled. Go to hell, beast. Boundless universe, hell reincarnation, salvation for all. Minerva roared. He held the high-grade sacred artifact, Kitagarbha, and slashed it at Xiaoping. In an instant, he erupted with all his strength. Hundreds of millions of saber chi erupted at once. Each saber chi mobilized the power of the law of space and contained terrifying spatial power. It was as if they were engraved with dense spatial runes. It could be said that over 100 million strands of saber chi had completely merged with the void. Without any sound or presence, they formed a silver river that covered the heavens and earth, blasting towards Xiaoping. There was nowhere to run or hide. Every single strand of blade, chi, could easily dismember an immortal saint. If 100 million strands of saber chi attacked at the same time, It would be like executing the enemy by 1,000 cuts. I didn't expect Minerva to be so powerful. Sophia, who was beside her, was shocked. Although she knew that Minerva had hidden her strength and that her battle prowess was greater than hers, she did not expect her to be this powerful. She even had a high-grade sacred weapon. Even though she was also a near-ancient saint and had comprehended the spatial laws, she at most had a mid-grade sacred artifact. She didn't even have a high-grade sacred artifact. This was just too precious. In fact, even some of the saints from the Middle Ages and the Ancient Era could only use high-grade sacred weapons at most. Such a powerful magic weapon was enough for them to use for a very long time. She wanted to intervene. After all, Minerva was now a saint of the illusion race, while Wu Wudi was a human. They needed to work together against a common enemy. It could be said that there was no chance for her to intervene now. Over 100 million strands of saber chi bombarded down, forming a saber river array that covered the heavens and earth and enveloped the entire universe. If she rashly entered, she would most likely be affected. She could only watch from the side, looking for a good opportunity to intervene. Xiaoping instinctively felt a sense of danger approaching. This high-grade sacred weapon, the universal divine saber, brought him great danger. If the saber hit him, it would definitely cause great damage to his soul. The power of this high-grade sacred weapon, the universal divine saber, was not to be underestimated. It could even harm an immortal body. It contained destructive waves. Just as he was about to dodge, a tyrannical power suddenly came from the depths of the golden sword. The power of the earth law enveloped his whole body, bestowing him with endless energy. Suddenly, he felt as if his whole body was possessed by Mother Earth. His feet stood on the ground and sprouted. It was as if with the golden sword in his hand, he was already in an invincible position. Immense power of the earth's origin was transmitted from his feet. As expected of the golden slime that has swallowed the Mother Earth stone, its power may be far beyond my imagination. At this moment, with the blessing of Mother Earth's power, Xiaoping felt extremely at ease. His heart was as calm as the sea, without any ripples. He felt that he had completely underestimated the golden slime that had swallowed the Mother Earth stone. After all, the Mother Earth stone was a rare treasure of the universe. In addition to the few cosmic gems that it had swallowed previously, the golden slime's power had increased by more than a few times. It had also comprehended more laws of the universe. It could be said that its current power was no less than any high-grade sacred weapon. Boom! Xiaoping moved his mind and mobilized the power of the golden sword. Thousands of laws of the earth emerged and turned into a khaki-colored soil barrier. Layer upon layer, it covered Xiaoping's whole body. At the same time, endless vitality was extracted from the depths of the earth and instilled into this spherical khaki-colored soil barrier. There seemed to be a huge, chaotic airflow inside. Dong, dong, dong. In the blink of an eye, over 100 million streams of sword chi attacked at the same time like raindrops. At the same time, they contained terrifying killing intent and spatial power, tearing everything apart. However, when these sword chi bombarded the khaki-colored soil barrier formed by the laws of the earth, it was like a sword slashing on a steel wall. It emitted a power that could isolate everything. Even the power of spatial laws could not penetrate this power of the earth. In an instant, over 100 million streams of sword chi collapsed at the same time. The spherical wall beside Xiaoping was already full of holes. There were sword and saber scars everywhere, but it could not be broken through. What kind of joke is this? Seeing this scene, Minerva also went crazy. I used the high-grade sacred weapon, the universal divine blade, circulated the laws of space, and gave it my all, but I still couldn't break through the defense of a mere immortal saint like you. He felt the same as the red-clothed saint from before. He could not believe that such a thing could happen. Be careful. This kid also has a powerful high-grade sacred weapon on him. Moreover, it's a defensive type. It's normal that you can't break through his defense for a while. Sophia, who was watching from the side, warned him in time. She had not expected this human kid to have so many trump cards. It was the type that seemed to be endless. Bullsh asterisk T. I only obtained a high-grade sacred weapon after going through so much trouble. Where did you get your luck from? You actually have a high-grade sacred weapon as well, and it's a defensive type at that. Minerva was so jealous that his intestines turned green. His eyes were as red as a bull's, and he was panting. He felt very indignant. It was as if all the good things in the world had been obtained by this human kid. Why was the heavens so unfair? Chapter 22:19. This won't do. This human has a high-grade sacred artifact for defense, and we've suffered significant injuries. We can't kill him at all. Let's take this chance to escape. There's no need to continue fighting with him here. Sophia was extremely fearful of Xiaoping. She felt that he was a dangerous person. Even though she was a near-ancient saint, it seemed that she could not kill this terrifying human who had endless means. Moreover, they had yet to recover from their injuries. There was no need to stay here and fight to the death with this human. As time passed, who knew if this human would send more reinforcements? Shut up. Minerva's face revealed a ferocious expression. I must kill this brat. Otherwise, I won't be able to take this lying down. 3 near-ancient saints were killed by this fellow. This is a blood feud. So what if he has a high-grade sacred artifact for defense? Take out all the sacred artifacts you have. We'll explode them and unleash boundless power to kill this brat. He made up his mind to kill this human. This was because he had a strong feeling that if he did not kill Wu Wuti now, based on this human's rate of improvement, he would not even be fit to carry his shoes the next time they met. Now was the best time to kill this damned human. If he missed this opportunity, there would not be another one in the future. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. As soon as he finished speaking, 3 sacred artifacts flew out of his body. 2 of them were low-grade sacred artifacts, while the other was a mid-grade sacred artifact. They emitted a bright treasure light and fused with his vital qi. Clearly, these 3 sacred artifacts had been completely refined by him. They had reached the level of being one with his heart and soul. You've actually taken out 3 sacred artifacts. It looks like you're really staking it all on this. Since you're willing to do so, there's no reason for me not to as well. Sophia gritted her teeth and finally made up her mind. No matter what, she had to get rid of this human today. Otherwise, there would definitely be a huge hidden danger waiting to ambush her. With a swoosh, she grabbed out with her hand, and 2 mid-grade sacred artifacts appeared on her body. They were life treasures that were connected to her mind and had been refined for billions of years. It could be said that these 2 sacred artifacts were like her limbs. They were extremely precious and contained boundless power. Although she was reluctant to do so, she had no choice but to pay the price to kill Wu Wuti. These saint artifacts also had their own artifact spirits, so they naturally sensed their own fate of self-detonation. As living beings, they naturally felt fear and unease and could sense the aura of their own death. However, they were completely controlled by the 2 ancient saints and could not go against their orders. Like a loyal program, they could only go through fire and water and perish together with the enemy. A sorrowful and crazy aura emanated from the few divine artifacts, spreading across the void. Wu Wuti, die. You won't be able to escape. Die under the power of the saint artifact's self-destruction. Explode, explode, explode. Minerva roared. He used spatial laws and the power of space. Immediately, with his body as the center, the surrounding hundreds of millions of kilometers turned into a space domain. All the space was sealed, and under the space domain, no method of traveling through space could be used. At this moment, it was as if the surrounding space had completely solidified, turning into an impenetrable fortress. No matter what methods they used, they would not be able to escape. Boom! In an instant, he used spatial laws, and the 3 saint artifacts on him immediately blasted towards Xiaoping. Sophia did not hesitate either. The 2 mid-grade saint artifacts on her also flew over. When they arrived near Xiaoping, they were about to self-detonate. Master, be careful. Immediately, Azure Ox and Corinne became extremely nervous and felt their hair stand on end. The might produced by the self-detonation of 5 sacred tools at the same time was simply boundless and terrifying. Even a near-ancient sage would be blown up, hovering between life and death, and even his soul would be destroyed. If he were to take this attack head-on, no matter how powerful Xiaoping was, he would be blown up into pieces. His immortal body would be useless in such an explosion. This was simply a blow that could destroy the world. Even atoms would be blown up into powder. You overestimate yourself. You want to self-destruct sane artifacts? Do you think I don't know what you're planning? Today, I'll let you know the difference between us. Even if you self-destruct sane artifacts, you won't be able to hurt me at all. A cold glint flashed in Xiaoping's eyes. He made a grabbing motion, and another artifact appeared on his body. It was a dark golden brush. It was a powerful artifact that came from the 9 hells. It represented the true essence of life and death, and it controlled the cycle of life and death, as well as the 6 paths of reincarnation. It was called the reincarnation brush. The moment the reincarnation brush appeared, the entire world seemed to have come to a standstill. The power of the reincarnation brush affected the space within a radius of billions of miles, forming an absolute domain. At this moment, Xiaoping, who had advanced to the sempiternal realm primary stage, realized that his control and usage of the reincarnation brush had reached an unprecedented level. He could exert power thousands of times greater than when he was in the lightning tribulation realm. Just by holding the reincarnation brush, he felt as if he had transformed into the god of hell, ruling over everything. Vaguely, the silhouette of a massive fiend god appeared in the depths of the void. There seemed to be the wheel of the 6 paths of reincarnation spinning behind it. It emanated the aura of chaos, eternity, vicissitudes, 6 paths of hell, and so on, suppressing all space and time. Under such power, even the 5 sane artifacts were suppressed. It was impossible for them to self-destruct even if they wanted to. It was as if time had frozen at this moment. Minerva and Sophia widened their eyes in shock. They could only move their minds, but they were unable to exert their transcendence, energy, and divine sense. They were unable to move at all. Xiaoping was expressionless. He held the reincarnation brush in his hand and tapped it lightly. In an instant, streaks of dark golden light shot out one after another. Like a giant reincarnation net, it enveloped everything in its path. With a few bangs, the dark golden light swept across the void. In an instant, the mental connection between the 5 sane artifacts and Minerva and Sophia was severed, ending their connection with the sane artifacts. They could no longer self-destruct. No. Minerva was horrified. He could not help but spurt a mouthful of blood, forcefully severing the mental connection between him and the 3 sane artifact had severely injured his soul. It was as if he had castrated his underling. However, this was only the beginning. A streak of dark golden light shot out from the distant space and time. It contained boundless murderous intent and extreme sharpness. It traversed through thousands of layers of space and completely locked onto Minerva's soul. Damn it! Minerva's hair stood on end. He felt as if his soul was being targeted by the god of death. He hurriedly traversed through thousands of layers of space and tried to escape from this place. However, it was too late. Being targeted by the reincarnation brush, there was nowhere to hide. Even if he traversed to the ends of the universe, the reincarnation brush's power would still catch up to him. Boom! In the next second, a streak of dark golden light bombarded Minerva's body. An inexplicably powerful and unstoppable force descended upon him. In an instant, his soul was torn apart. Then his entire body exploded into a cloud of blood mist. Minerva dead. Chapter 22:20. Out of the 5 near-ancient saints of the illusion race, for had died, only Sophia was still alive. The entire land had turned into a deathly stillness. The aura of death was everywhere. Sophia stared in disbelief at the dead Minerva. She had fought against Minerva for countless years, and naturally knew how terrifying a Saint Minerva was. Moreover, he was a near-ancient saint who had comprehended spatial laws. He was extremely powerful, but now he had been killed by an immortal saint. If this spread, the entire universe would be shaken. Her mind was in turmoil. Her sea of consciousness was blank. She had no other thoughts. Tell me, do you want to live or die? Xiaoping looked down from above. He held the reincarnation brush and looked at Sophia coldly. His body emitted boundless killing intent that completely enveloped Sophia. You're not going to kill me? At this moment, Sophia regained her consciousness. She looked at Xiaoping in shock, as she was a near ancient saint who had comprehended the law of space. Once she recovered from her injuries, she would definitely be a great threat to him. As long as you let go of your soul and fuse with this soul seal, you can live. If you don't agree, you'll die, Xiaoping said calmly. He grabbed with his hand and instantly formed a soul seal. This was a supreme secret inherited from the Blood Soul Saint. Once the soul seal was planted on an enemy, he could immediately enslave them. Their life and death would be decided by a single thought. He had never used the soul seal before because he could not find anyone worth enslaving. Sophia was a near ancient saint who had comprehended spatial laws. If he enslaved her, she would definitely be of great help to him. Of course, if she did not agree, he would just kill her. He would not lose anything anyway. He would also not discuss anything with her. No matter what, he could not let an enemy who had a grudge against him leave alive. Sophia's pupil shrank. Seeing the black soul seal, she could instinctively sense that it was extremely strange and mysterious. Once she let go of her soul, she would definitely be enslaved forever. In other words, she would not be able to control herself. She immediately wanted to refuse. After all, she was a near ancient saint who had comprehended spatial laws. She was an extremely noble being in the entire universe. Becoming someone else's slave was simply a joke. However, she could feel the murderous aura coming from Xiaoping's body. If she refused, this human Wu Wuti would not show any mercy. He would definitely kill her instantly. Normally, she would rather die than submit. She would never agree to such a thing. However, most of the illusion race had already been annihilated. If she were to die now, there would be very few people left in the illusion race. Perhaps they would disappear in the universe's history forever. For the sake of her race's survival, her heart softened. She had to endure the humiliation and survive. All right, I promise you, but I have a condition. You can't kill my clansmen. Sophia said in a deep voice. Your clansmen? Do you still have tribesmen? Xiaoping looked around. He had just fought with a few near ancient sages and had almost destroyed the surface of the planet. The illusory race who were originally on this plane were basically all dead. These ordinary people could not withstand the shockwaves from the battle of the sages at all. Just a slight ripple would cause them to die from shock. There were basically no living people left on this planet. Of course, during the battle, just now, I had already placed a portion of the Lawrence family's clansmen into my spatial treasure. That's why they survived and did not die, Sophia said. Sophia said, indicating that there were still some members of the illusory race still alive in one of her spatial treasures. They were basically the elites of the Lawrence family and also her trusted subordinates. As for the other clansmen, she did not rescue them because it would have been too late. She could only rescue the Lawrence family members who were close to her first. I can't agree to this condition. What do you mean by you can't kill them? Do you think your clansmen have the immunity medallion? Your life isn't worth that much. Xiaoping sneered. No, that's not what I meant. I just hope that you can give them a chance to live. They can become your subordinates and work for you. I believe you also know the ability of the illusion race. They will definitely provide you with great help. Sophia said seriously, what you said is not unreasonable. The ability of the illusion race is indeed a little extraordinary. All right, you and your clansmen can become my subordinates. However, if you go against my rules and try to betray me, then don't blame me. Xiaoping rubbed his chin. If he could subdue the illusion race, it would indeed be a great help. Of course, if anyone betrays you, I will be the first to not forgive them. Sophia nodded. Since that's the case, release your soul's defenses and let this soul seal enter your soul. Xiaoping grabbed with his hand and immediately sent the black soul seal into the depths of Sophia's soul. Sophia felt that the black soul seal seemed to have a life of its own as it entered her soul. It seemed to have transformed into a venomous insect, emitting a sinister and strange aura. She instinctively wanted to resist this strange power. However, when she felt the murderous aura on Xiaoping's body, she chose to give up resisting and let the black soul seal enter the depths of her soul. Boom! In the next second, the soul seal instantly fused into the depths of Sophia's soul. Instantly, it released thousands of black lines that pierced into every corner of her soul like a neural network. Vaguely, Xiaoping immediately sensed that the soul seal had completely fused into Sophia's soul. He knew Sophia's current thoughts like the back of his hand. He could take Sophia's life with just a thought. At the same time, Sophia felt extremely strange. Previously, she had been extremely resistant and hated Xiaoping. However, when the black soul seal entered her soul, her impression of Xiaoping immediately rose to an unprecedented level. Even though she knew that Xiaoping had just enslaved her, she still did not feel any disgust. It was as if she felt that it was natural. The power of the soul seal was constantly affecting her emotions, subtly influencing her. This was the terrifying part of the soul seal. It could make people who were affected by the soul seal become loyal and devoted slaves. This was more than 10,000 times more terrifying than brainwashing. "How do you feel now?" Xiaoping asked. "Master, I feel very good. I've never felt so good before. It seems that I've gotten rid of many troubles. My heart is calm, and even the speed at which I understand the laws of the universe has increased a lot," Sophia said. She had completely recognized Xiaoping as her master. "Very good. Then you can enter the space of the Pearl of Mountains and Rivers first." Xiaoping was very satisfied. This time, he had not only subdued a portion of the illusion race's people, but he had also subdued a near-ancient saint. This was a great help. This harvest was really too great. Chapter 22-21. At this time, the news that the illusion race had been wiped out by the Human Sage Coalition had spread to every corner of the universe. Every race in the universe knew about this. This was because the human race had mobilized so many people, and the illusion race had been a disaster in the universe for an unknown period of time. Now that they had been wiped out by the human race, many people were celebrating. "Haha, that's great. That scourge of the illusion race has finally been wiped out. I've had enough of their suffering." Isn't that right? Those people from the illusion race are simply villains. They do all kinds of evil. Relying on their transformation ability, they do all kinds of evil, but no one could do anything to them. Yes, I was ruined by those villains from the illusion race. I lost my family and everything. I hate them to the core. This scourge of the universe has been wiped out. It's a great event. Without the existence of the illusion race, the crime rate in the universe will drop by 10%. God has eyes. That shameless race has finally been wiped out. I knew that bastard illusion race would cause trouble everywhere. One day, they would be in trouble. Many people who had suffered at the hands of the illusion race celebrated with tears in their eyes. They had finally gotten their revenge. They had seen the illusion race suffer, and their entire race had been wiped out. Throughout the universe, countless people had suffered at the hands of the illusion race. Now that they had been wiped out by the human race, how could they not be happy? They were wild with joy. However, the human race is really too powerful. The illusion race is not a small race. They actually have an invincible saint supporting them, and they also have a peerless saint weapon to protect their race's luck. Their strength is tyrannical, and not many races can do anything to them. Some people side at the strength of the human race. That's to be expected. To wipe out the illusion race, the human race sent out all their elites. I heard that even the sacred item, the demon subduing pagoda, was invited by the human race patriarch. In the end, the illusion patriarch, Oleg, and a dozen other illusion race sages were suppressed. They are now locked in the lowest level of the demon subduing pagoda, suffering eternal torture. Someone knew some inside information. Suppressed? Why do they have to suppress demons? Can't the human race just kill these sages? What if one day they escape? At that time, wouldn't they be crushed into a monstrous disaster? Some people did not understand why the human clan would suppress this group of illusory race sages. They should be eliminating the root of the problem. Otherwise, if these criminals were to escape in the future, it would definitely be a huge disaster for the human clan. What a joke. Oleg is an invincible saint. His strength has already reached an unimaginable level. It is said that he has already broken through the concept of life and death. He is not that easy to kill. Indeed, the realm of the invincible saint is beyond the imagination of mortals. Some people call such people demigods, who are just one step away from becoming omnipotent and omniscient gods. But didn't invincible saints fall in history? For instance, the good fortune saint died in battle with the abyssal demons. There are still ways to kill invincible saints. There are ways, but I heard that the human clan does not do it because it is profitable. The Yao Ceiling Pagoda has an unimaginable ability. The more criminals it imprisons, the stronger the Yao Ceiling Pagoda becomes. It can even absorb the power of the criminals to strengthen the Yao Ceiling Pagoda itself. I see. No wonder the human clan likes to capture some enemies alive and imprison them in the Yao Ceiling Pagoda. If they can capture countless powerful criminals, won't the Yao Ceiling Pagoda's power increase to an unimaginable level? I think the human clan does have such an idea. With such a divine artifact in hand, no race, including the peak races, would dare to casually declare war on the human clan. Everyone discussed. They were all afraid of the human clan's power. Even though countless human sages had fallen, with the existence of the Yao Ceiling Pagoda, no race could shake the foundation of the human clan. But after saying so much, I heard an important piece of news. In fact, the human clan did not gain much advantage in this battle. Most of the benefits seemed to have been reaped by Wu Wuti. Someone said mysteriously, "Damn, Wu Wuti, isn't he that super wanted criminal? What does this have to do with this guy? Does everything that happens in the universe have something to do with him? Is he always stirring up trouble everywhere? Where did this news come from? It must be fake. That kid is only a thunder retribution cultivator. How could he be involved in a battle between sages?" That's right. If that kid dares to appear again, the sages will destroy him in one go. He won't be able to escape. Everyone's mouths twitched. They thought that they would not hear about Wu Wuti for a long time. They did not expect this guy to suddenly jump out at this time. It was really nerve-wracking. However, they thought that this was definitely fake news. A mere thunder retribution cultivator wanting to get involved in a battle between sages would be a dead man's errand. You guys have underestimated Wu Wuti. That guy is very powerful. It is said that the reason why the illusion race was wiped out this time was because Wu Wuti provided information to the human clan. He let the human clan know all kinds of information about the illusion race. That was why the illusion race was caught off guard, and almost all the saints of the illusion race were killed in one fell swoop. And it is said that Wu Wuti deliberately provided this information to the human clan. It was part of his plan. His goal was to make the human clan and the illusion race fight to the death and sink into the swamp of war. In the end, that kid took advantage of the fact that the saints of the illusion race were fighting the human clan saints and the rear was empty. He actually ran into the illusion race's treasure vault and looted all the treasures that the illusion race had accumulated over the years, leaving nothing behind. When the saint of the illusion race heard about this, he was so angry that he vomited blood and almost fainted. Someone revealed some information about this matter, indicating that the biggest beneficiary of this matter was Wu Wuti. It can't be. That's the illusion race's treasure vault. The people of the illusion race have cheated for countless years. How many treasures have they accumulated? Even the top races would be envious of them. Now that this kid has looted them all, is there any justice in this world? Isn't he rich enough to rival a country? Some people's eyes were green with envy and jealousy. The poor illusion race was actually killed by a despicable person like Wu Wuti. It's really sad and lamentable. That's right. It's better to offend a gentleman than a despicable person. Now that the illusion race has not only been wiped out, their treasures have been looted clean by Wu Wuti. It's really too pitiful. In other words, Wu Wuti is now a walking treasure vault. If we kill this kid, it's equivalent to obtaining the treasure vault of an entire race. Stop dreaming. Now even the saints want to find his whereabouts and kill him, but no one has any news of him. F***, this kid is really good at hiding. Until now, no one has been able to find any traces of him. Everyone gritted their teeth. However, in private, there were undercurrents surging. Countless forces were looking for traces of Wu Wuti. They were extremely interested in the many treasures that Wu Wuti had. If there was a chance, they would definitely kill him and take his treasures. Chapter 22:22. At that moment, in the universe, many major forces also heard the news and were discussing it. I didn't expect that Wu Wuti would be the one who benefited the most this time. Even the human race was fooled by him, and all the benefits were taken away by him. A saint sighed. No one expected that the one who benefited the most from this extermination operation was a mortal. This kid was so bold that he even dared to pull a tooth out of Tiger's mouth. Who knows what Wu Wuti's background is? No matter how much he benefits, he's still a human after all. He's always beneficial to the human race. So didn't you see that the group of human race saints weren't too angry? That's true. Even if this kid causes trouble everywhere, he's still a human after all. If it's a critical moment, he'll definitely help the human race. This is a great hidden danger for us other races. Some saints were discussing it. It said that this kid plundered the entire illusory race's treasury. Needless to say, there are many treasures, but the most important one is the trump card that the illusory race carefully prepared, the cursed black coffin. One of the saints said in a low voice, "This secret treasure was obtained by the illusory race at a great cost in the Forbidden Darkness Zone. It contains a terrifying curse power and can be said to be the source of all evil." Originally, the illusory race planned to use this secret treasure at a critical moment to catch the human race off guard. The power inside is enough to kill an expert of the invincible saint level. Now that this secret treasure has fallen into Wu Wuti's hands, it's a very serious matter. It's definitely a ticking time bomb. No one knows when he'll use it, so everyone must remember this. His expression was very solemn. Indeed, I've also heard this news. It said that if Wu Wuti hadn't stolen that secret treasure in time, the human race would have suffered heavy losses this time. Maybe even a few invincible saints would have fallen. It's really a pity. The name of this secret treasure sounds ominous. Although it's very difficult to control, it has the power to perish together with the enemy. If it suddenly explodes in the headquarters of a race, there will definitely be countless deaths and injuries. We must find Wu Wuti's whereabouts. Such a tyrannical trump card must not fall into the hands of such a dangerous person, especially in the hands of the human race. That's right, such an artifact must be under our complete control in order to be at ease. Many of the sages looked solemn. They were extremely fearful of the secret treasure, the cursed black coffin. It was a treasure that could even kill an invincible sage. It was simply a great killing weapon. Even if it was difficult to control, it would be a huge deterrent to the enemy at the critical moment, just like a nuclear bomb. If they couldn't control such a treasure, they would face great threats at all times. No matter what, they had to find Wu Wuti and snatch the cursed black coffin back. In the Abyss world, many abyssal demons gathered together for a meeting. The destruction of the illusion race was a huge blow to the entire Abyss. Damn it, how could this happen? Didn't they say that the illusory race hid themselves very well? Why were they discovered by the human race, and the entire race was exterminated? Isn't that right? The war is imminent, and the illusory race has been annihilated. This is a huge blow to us. It's like losing an arm. How could we not have heard about this beforehand? Without the help of the illusion race, it will be very inconvenient for us to invade the universe. It will ruin many of our plans, and even affect our chances of victory. Many abyssal demons gritted their teeth. They were very unwilling. After all, the illusion race had helped the Abyss too much. Whether it was their strength or the special abilities they possessed, they were all what the Abyss needed. They were the best scouts and spies. With the help of the illusion race, the Abyss chances of victory would increase by at least 10%. But now, the illusion race was completely finished. Why did the leader stop us from helping the illusion race? If we had acted then, the illusion race might not have been annihilated. Some abyssal demons asked unwillingly. Don't joke around. This time, the human race came prepared. They turned out in full force. Their goal was to make sure nothing went wrong. Didn't you see that the few old antiques of the human race didn't act? Their goal was to prevent us from acting. If we dared to act, we would immediately be struck by lightning, and countless would die. Indeed, later, the human race actually took out the demons subduing Pagoda and easily suppressed that idiot Orist. If we had acted rashly, we would have ended up like Orist. This time, the human race not only wants to annihilate the illusion race, but also a part of the Abyss strength. We cannot let them succeed. Yes, it is because he sensed this danger that the leader stopped us from helping. Otherwise, we might have fallen into the trap and died along with the illusion race. Damn the human race. One day, we will destroy them. Since the primordial age, the human race has been the most despicable. They are also the enemies who have killed the most of the Abyss. Many abyssal demons clenched their fists in anger. They were not brainless creatures. Even if they knew that this was a trap, they would not fall into it. After weighing the pros and cons, they still chose to give up on the illusion race. After all, they could not let the Abyss lose all of its strength. Actually, I feel that all of this is because of that human race Wu-Woody. If not for that brat leaking information about the illusion race, the human race would not have found the existence of the illusion realm so quickly, and the illusion race would not have been annihilated. An abyssal demon shouted angrily. It's that bastard Wu-Woody again. Previously, he destroyed our Abyss altar again and killed a few of our comrades. We have not even settled the score with him. Now, he actually destroyed the universe race that was corrupted by the Abyss. This is outrageous. This person must die. Otherwise, who knows how much trouble he will bring to us. A few abyssal demons clenched their teeth. Their hatred for Wu-Woody had reached its peak. This human had ruined their plans time and time again, causing them to suffer heavy losses. This kind of behavior was intolerable. Say no more. Mobilize all our forces and find the whereabouts of that human race Wu-Woody. Kill him. He killed so many of our immortal demons and caused the annihilation of the illusion race. Our Abyss plans have suffered a serious setback. This human can live even if he wants to. We must find him and skin him alive. Also, we must find his secret treasure, the cursed black coffin. The leaders have coveted this secret treasure for a long time. If they were not trapped in the Abyss, they would have snatched it long ago. It can be said that once such a secret treasure is obtained, it will definitely be a great killing weapon. It can kill thousands of races in the universe. Many abyssal demons were filled with terrifying killing intent and hatred. This time, they were determined to find Wu-Woody and destroy this bastard. They could not let him continue to stir up shit. Chapter 22-23. At this moment, in the space of the Mountain River Pearl, Xia Ping brought Sophia into the space of the Mountain River Pearl. Master, this is a near ancient saint who has comprehended the law of space. Will there be any trouble bringing her into the space of the Mountain River Pearl? The green ox asked worriedly. It's fine. She has already been affected by my soul seal technique. Her life and death are already in my hands. There's no need to worry, Xia Ping said calmly, indicating that there was no need to worry. Soul seal technique? Is it the unique secret technique of the famous blood soul saint from the ancient era? The green ox was shocked. It is said that he used this secret technique to enslave some saints, causing many saints to panic. In the end, because he was too overbearing and unscrupulous, he became the target of public criticism. He was besieged by many saints and died tragically. He had also heard some news about the Blood Soul Saint. He was a powerful saint who was as famous as his old master, the Mountain River Saint. He was even more terrifying and had a terrible reputation. However, the Blood Soul Saint's secret technique to enslave saints was enough to make countless saints drool. Once he obtained it, his forces would immediately increase greatly. You guessed correctly, so there's nothing to worry about. Xia Ping nodded. Under the control of the soul seal, all of Sophia's thoughts could not be hidden. Of course, the most terrifying thing about the soul seal was not absolute control, but the constant brainwashing and subconscious influence. The longer it lasted, the more difficult it was to get rid of the control. I see. Then I'm relieved. The Green Ox was very excited. If it was the soul seal technique, then there was indeed nothing to worry about. However, he did not expect his master to have mastered such a terrifying spiritual secret technique. He was clearly an immortal saint, but he had actually enslaved a near ancient saint. If this spread, who knew how many people would be scared to death? No, it would not be as simple as being scared to death. His master would probably become the target of public criticism, like the blood soul saint from the ancient era. After all, who would not be worried about being enslaved by others and never being able to get rid of it? He's getting more and more powerful. Corinne was also very emotional. His old master, the Star Saints, was only an immortal saint, but now Xiaoping had actually enslaved a near ancient saint. This had already surpassed his old master. It was really too much. If the saints of the myriad stars knew about this, they would probably be extremely gratified that their inheritance had not been severed. After all, its old master had never thought of such a thing, let alone enslaving it. Make arrangements for Sophia. Give her a place to recuperate. Also, there are some people from the illusion race around her. Remember to keep an eye on them. Don't let them cause any trouble. Xiaoping ordered. Don't worry, within the space of the bead of mountains and rivers, no one will be able to act presumptuously. The Green Ox was filled with confidence. All right, then I'll go into seclusion. I'll leave the rest to you. After saying this, Xiaoping left the place and went to a quiet room that he usually used for seclusion. As a result, the Green Ox arranged for Sophia to stay in a valley in the space of the pearl of mountains and rivers. It also built a simple city there. After all, it was too easy to build a city with nano-level intelligent robots, engineering robots, and so on. As long as there were enough materials and energy, it wouldn't even take half a day. All right, from now on, this will be the place where your illusion clan will live. The Green Bull said to Sophia. Thank you, Lord Chief. Sophia nodded, indicating that she had no objections. Hearing this, the Green Bull was very satisfied. A near ancient saint was so respectful to it. It seemed that this person had been completely subdued by its master. All right, I still have something to do. There are still many spiritual herbs that need to be planted. If you have any other requests, you can let me know. After saying this, the Green Bull left. This time, Xiaoping had plundered a large number of spiritual herbs from the illusion race's treasury. There were even holy herbs. These were all extremely precious treasures. It still needed to be carefully planted. This was a very important task. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Seeing the Green Bull leave, Sophia waved her hand. Immediately, the elites of the Lawrence family, who were staying in her spatial treasure, flew out. Among them was Emma. These elites were actually all women of the Lawrence family. There was not a single man. For Sophia, her most important family members were the younger generation of the Lawrence family. As for her relatives, parents, friends, and so on, they had long since passed away due to the exhaustion of their lifespans. In fact, she was currently the only ancestor-level figure in the Lawrence family. After all, there were too few people who could become immortal saints. Among her peers, only Minerva was able to become a saint. If she couldn't become a saint, she would eventually be destroyed by time. But now, even Minerva was dead. This meant that even saints weren't immortal. Patriarch Sophia, are we completely safe now? Emma and the rest looked at Sophia anxiously. They knew how dangerous it was just now. The entire illusion world had been destroyed, and only a few had survived. If they weren't loved by Patriarch Sophia, they would have died with them. Even so, it didn't mean that they were safe now. After all, they were besieged by the human race. They were the top race in the universe. It wasn't that easy to escape. We're safe for now, but in the future, we must listen to Wu Wudi's orders. Now that I've recognized him as my master, you must listen to him too, Sophia said in a low voice. What? Emma and the others were shocked when they heard this. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. They didn't expect such a thing to happen. What kind of person was Sophia? She was a near-ancient saint who had comprehended the law of space. She was an immortal existence. Now, she had recognized a human as her master. It was unbelievable. What exactly happened? What method did Wu Wudi use to force their patriarch to lower his head and become his slave? For a moment, they were overwhelmed with emotions. Their minds were filled with endless thoughts. They were trying to figure out what had happened, but they couldn't disobey the patriarch's orders. After all, it was an order from a saint. They could only obey and not refuse. Yes, patriarch. Emma and the others nodded, indicating that they would listen to Wu Wudi's orders in the future. They would recognize him as their master. Very well. In the future, this will be your place to live. Familiarize yourself with the environment here. Sophia pointed at the small city in front of them. Then she left. After the battle, she was almost killed by the power of the curse. She was seriously injured and needed some time to recover. Chapter 22-24. Xiaoping ignored the arrangements of Sophia and the others. He went to the quiet room where he cultivated in seclusion. Beep, beep. He had just entered the quiet room when the system's voice sounded. Congratulations to the host for attracting a large number of hatred from the illusion race, abyss demons, and other enemies. This time, you have obtained a total of 370 hatred crystals. I hope you will continue to work hard. 370 hatred crystals. Hearing this, Xiaoping's eyes suddenly lit up. He had 700 hatred crystals before, but in order to exchange for the world creation orb, he spent 100 hatred crystals, plus 370 hatred crystals. In other words, he now had a total of 970 hatred crystals, not far from 1,000 hatred crystals. Thinking of this, Xiaoping felt a little regretful. If he hadn't exchanged for the world creation orb, he would have reached 1,000 hatred crystals. That way, he would have been able to get a big gift from the system. However, it didn't matter. Now, there was only a difference of 30 hatred crystals. The distance wasn't very far, and it wouldn't take too long for him to meet the requirements of the system. He was still looking forward to the big gift from the system. He didn't know what kind of treasure it would give him. Soon, if I get another wave of hatred, I'll be able to get a big gift. Xiaoping was looking forward to it. However, he quickly let go of this matter, because no matter how important external objects were, they were not as important as his own cultivation. This was the foundation of everything. The foundation of everything. I wonder what the longevity pill feels like. Xiaoping grabbed with his big hand and immediately took out a large number of longevity pills from the storage space. These were obtained from the illusion race's treasury. The number was simply innumerable like a mountain. These pills, which were supposed to be provided to the many sages of the illusion race, now all belonged to him. Suddenly, the longevity pills emitted a fascinating smell. Dense longevity runes appeared inside the pills, as if they were filled with an immortal aura unfathomable. Ordinary people would be free from disease and disaster if they smelled such an aura, and their lives would be prolonged. If an ordinary cultivator in the Thunder Tribulation realm ate a longevity pill, his entire body would probably be filled to the brim. After all, this was a pill that only sages could take. If others wanted to eat it, they would not be able to take it. They would be courting death. It tastes good. It's a bit like peanuts, very crispy. Xiaoping grabbed a handful as if he was grabbing melon seeds, munching on them like a cow chewing on peonies. He directly swallowed these longevity pills. After that, he activated the sun furnace in his body, instantly devouring these longevity pills. Vast amounts of hellfire gushed forth from the depths of his body, instantly burning and refining these longevity pills. Crash! In an instant, these longevity pills were refined, producing a tremendous amount of life energy, as well as cosmos source energy. Moreover, it was extremely pure, without any impurities. To be honest, as a sempiternal realm primary stage cultivator, the amount of energy that Xiaoping was able to absorb at a time was extremely huge. It would take him countless years just to grow a single strand of his energy. Of course, this was nothing for immortal sages with infinite lifespans. However, if one wanted to increase their cultivation rapidly, it would be quite a torment. However, after swallowing these longevity pills, Xiaoping immediately discovered that the growth of his magic power was like flying an airplane, increasing at a speed visible to the naked eye. A single longevity pill was equivalent to 1,000 years' worth of magic power condensed by an immortal sage. 100 longevity pills were equivalent to 100,000 years' worth of magic power condensed by an immortal sage. One could very well imagine the amount of energy contained within. Xiaoping immediately felt a vast amount of cosmos source energy gushing out from the depths of his body, filling up every single corner of his body. His 9 great purple palace spaces were filled with dark golden magic power, almost to the brim. This was equivalent to increasing 100,000 years' worth of magic power in one go, saving God knows how many years of effort. As expected of a longevity pill, the benefits it brings to cultivation are simply too great. Looks like even if I advance to the sage realm, my demand for resources will still be limitless. Xiaoping sighed. Swallowing 100 longevity pills was equivalent to 100,000 years' worth of magic power. This was simply too much of a boost to his efficiency. There was no need for him to cultivate bitterly and painstakingly. Therefore, many undying sages would enter seclusion for millions or even tens of millions of years. They did not have too many resources and could only rely on bitter cultivation. This way, the efficiency would be too low, if not for the fact that he had plundered a large amount of pills from the illusion race's treasury. He would most likely follow in the same footsteps. Honestly speaking, he could not bear such a thing. Devour, continue devouring. Xiaoping was extremely extravagant, as if he did not need money. He devoured one longevity pill after another, refining them rapidly. Even undying sages would be green with envy upon seeing this scene. The heavens were truly unfair. 100 longevity pills, 200 longevity pills, 300 longevity pills, 500 longevity pills. When he devoured 1,000 longevity pills, an incomparably vast amount of energy surged into his body like a raging ocean, almost filling up the entire space within Xiaoping's body. This amount of energy was simply too vast. It was simply the magic power that an undying sage had cultivated for millions of years. I'm about to break through. After an unknown period of time, Xiaoping's heart thumped. He could feel a dark golden door in the depths of his sea of consciousness being shattered by the vast amount of cosmos source energy. In an instant, he had stepped into a new realm, sempiternal middle stage. He felt that entering the sempiternal middle stage was just a matter of time. After all, there were not too many bottlenecks. All he had to do was condense his magic power and devour the universe source energy. Now that he had devoured over 1,000 longevity pills, it was equivalent to using up a shocking amount of wealth. Thus, it was only natural for him to break through and enter the sempiternal middle stage. Rumble. After entering the sempiternal middle stage, Xiaoping immediately felt that his 9 purple mansions had doubled in size. His magic power had also increased by more than 9 times. If his magic power was only comparable to an ordinary sage in the past, then his current magic power had definitely surpassed most sages in the near ancient era. Even those sages in the near ancient era who had comprehended the law of space could not compare to the current Xiaoping. At the same time, his soul energy had also increased rapidly. The range of his divine sense had expanded to 20 light years. It was as if he could cover a small star region with a single thought. This feeling. Vaguely, Xiaoping could feel his divine sense permeating the void. He could sense countless dimensional spaces, and he could even permeate the void and comprehend a little bit about the essence of space. Immediately, strands of space energy seemed to fuse with his body, causing his body to undergo a unique change. It was as if it was about to crystallize and transform into space. Interesting. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He had a feeling that once he completely comprehended the essence of space, his strength would increase by more than 1,000 times. This was a qualitative change. Chapter 22-25. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. Xiaoping swallowed the longevity pill and stabilized his sempiternal realm intermediate stage cultivation. Although he could continue to break through, in order to stabilize his foundation, he decided to control the speed of his breakthrough. After advancing to sempiternal realm intermediate stage, his magic power and divine sense power had increased significantly. At the same time, he had awakened hundreds of millions of golden crow cells in his body, bringing the total number of golden crow cells in his body to 8 billion. It could be said that his golden crow of hell bloodline was frighteningly thick. It wouldn't be long before he made a breakthrough. At this moment, Xiaoping's heart shook. He sensed that the golden slime in his body had also undergone a huge change. After a month of devouring and refining the cosmos gems, the golden slime had finally digested the 6 cosmos gems, taking all of their energy for itself. This had also allowed it to undergo a complete transformation. It was originally a low-grade saint artifact, but now it had risen to the peak of mid-grade saint artifact. In fact, it was just a step away from becoming a high-grade saint artifact. Just a little more? No. It seems like it's about to break through. Xiaoping felt a little regretful. He felt that the golden slime's evolution was over. If it could become a high-grade saint artifact, the golden slime would be many times stronger. But suddenly, he sensed that the golden slime's aura had not stopped. It seemed to be brewing like a volcano that was about to erupt. He activated the golden crow of hell's eye and looked through the golden slime's body. He saw thousands of restrictive arrays appearing in the depths of the golden slime's body. Cosmic laws were engraved in every corner of its body. The surroundings were filled with the powerful aura of laws, containing the endless mysteries of the universe. Life law, soul law, earth law, resonance law, space law, lightning law, ocean law, and many other cosmic laws were surging within the golden slime's body. These cosmic laws intertwined with one another, forming a cosmic network. They were different from one another, but at the same time, they fused together as if they were contradictory and unified. When the aura of these laws reached their peak, they seemed to fuse together completely, forming a chaotic state. High-grade saint artifact. Xiaoping immediately knew that the golden slime had advanced to high-grade saint artifact. Its body was filled with the dense power of laws, so dense that it was almost inseparable. Boom! In an instant, the golden slime's body suddenly exploded. It was like the beginning of the primal chaos, producing the Big Bang of the universe. A speck of spiritual light was born from the depths of the primal chaos. That was the aura of the soul, the first ray of spiritual light of life. This is the light of wisdom. Xiaoping's heart stirred. He could sense the aura of life and soul coming from the golden slime. It was as though the golden slime's body had come to life. The golden slime that was originally in the form of a bracelet suddenly underwent a huge change. It turned into a golden liquid and fell to the ground. Then it quickly squirmed and turned into a cute little lowly who was about 6 years old. She had long golden hair and a pair of round eyes that seemed to be able to speak. Her pupils were golden and her skin was smooth and creamy. She wore a gorgeous robe that looked like a dragon's robe. There were many patterns engraved on it, and there seemed to be dragons, phoenixes, cheilants, and other divine beasts. It was majestic, noble, and elegant. This robe was also refined with special materials. It had the power of being impervious to water and fire. There were also many jewels on the robe. It was very luxurious and shone with the aura of jewels. On her little head, there was also a crown with 6 universe jewels engraved on it. They shone with a golden radiance. One look, and one could tell that she was a nouveau riche. Her little feet were also wearing a pair of treasured shoes that were also engraved with precious jewels. One look, and one could tell that they were priceless. If they were to be sold, they would be able to buy dozens of planets. She looked like a super nouveau riche lowly that was formed from a pile of jewels. It was as though she was afraid that others wouldn't know that she was very rich. Master, the golden slime was a little puzzled as she looked at her current appearance. She didn't seem to be very familiar with her current state. She blinked her big eyes and saw Xiaoping. She suddenly felt a sense of familiarity and peace of mind. She immediately pounced on him and hugged his thigh. It seems like she's going to transform into a human form. Xiaoping rubbed Xiao Jin's head curiously. He could see that Xiao Jin's eyes were currently moving. At this moment, Xiao Jin was no different from an ordinary life form. However, her knowledge was still like a blank piece of paper. She was like a newborn baby. She did not know much about the common sense of the world. However, after leveling up to a high-grade Saint artifact, her power seems to have become even more unbelievable. Xiaoping could immediately sense a series of information regarding the Golden Slime's divine abilities coming from Xiao Jin. This was the mysterious power of the contract between him and the Golden Slime. Golden Slime Xiao Jin, high-grade Saint artifact. 6th divine ability, instant recovery. Undying body. Possesses an extremely powerful healing ability. As long as the wielder has a single breath left, the wielder's injuries can be slowly healed. This ability comes from the Life Stone. 7th divine ability, Soul Devour. Able to devour the soul power of the dead to continuously strengthen the wielder's soul essence, allowing it to continuously evolve. Possesses an extremely powerful ability to harm the undead. This ability comes from the Soul Stone. 8th divine ability, Overwhelming Thunderbolt. Able to summon out a sea of lightning to form an absolute domain of lightning. Like a lightning tribulation, it can blast the enemy to death. Extremely destructive power. Has a natural resistance against lightning-type divine abilities. This ability comes from the god of Lightning Stone. 9 divine abilities. Heaven Crystal Body. With this sword, you can turn into a heaven crystal body that is indestructible. You'll be immune to all physical type attacks for a time, and you'll have an interval of 2 hours. This ability comes from Heaven Crystal Stone. 10th divine ability, Absolute Space. This is the storage space of the Golden Slime itself. The space inside is endless. It is the place where the Golden Slime's countless magic treasures are stored. It can evolve into a world of its own. Any object that comes into this space will be in a state of absolute stillness. No living creatures can be stored inside. This ability comes from the god of Material Stone. 11th divine ability, Sea God Authority. By activating Sea God Authority, the 4 seas can be sealed and all water-type life forms can be restrained. The strength of the sea will increase tenfold, like a fish in water. This ability comes from the Sea Calming Stone. Sensing the information of these divine abilities, Xiaoping could not help but sigh. Xiao Jin was becoming more and more monstrous. Devouring a type of cosmic gem would give him an additional divine ability. If he continued to grow, who knew what level Xiao Jin would reach? Please remember this book's domain name. Third Sect Leaders Mobile Version. Chapter 22-26. Within the space of the Pearl of Mountains and Rivers, there was a school. This was where many slave girls attended classes. Basically, Cheng Xiaoqian and Tan Menglu would also come to this place to receive education. However, the two often skipped classes and were caught countless times. Damn it, I'm a Tao Tai, known as one of the 10 primordial beasts. I'm extremely savage, yet I have to go to school with a bunch of mortals and do homework. This is outrageous. Is there still any law? Tan Menglu gritted her teeth. She had 2 dark circles under her eyes, like a panda's. She had stayed up for a long time and played games the night before. She had wanted to laze in bed. However, thinking of Xiaoping's threat, she quickly got out of bed. If she angered Xiaoping, she would probably starve for a day or even cut off her internet connection. This is nothing. I'm the king of the black hole insect race, a natural-born king, above millions. Only I can control others. No one can control me. But he was caught by that hateful regent as punishment for copying homework. It was too hateful. This was tyranny, torture. If I can ascend to the throne, the first thing I'll do is announce that teachers can't assign homework. I'll also punish that regent to clean the toilets every day without letting him rest. Cheng Xiaoqian was furious and indignant. She was a king, but now she was extremely sullen. She was caught to go to school, punished to do homework, and even criticized by the teacher. This was simply the humiliation of being a king, a dark history. How about it? Should we rebel against this tyranny, and oust this tyrant regent? We can't do that for now. The enemy is too powerful, and they have the advantage in numbers. We have to endure and advance step by step. As the saying goes, a gentleman's revenge is never too late, but a villain's revenge is always at hand. That's right. If we rebel now, we might be suppressed in the blink of an eye. We're too weak. But it's not like we don't have a chance. The enemy is in the light, and we're in the dark. We can definitely collude with other brave warriors who are dissatisfied with this regent and overthrow his tyranny. There should be many people who are dissatisfied with this tyrant now. You didn't see it, especially those slave girls. They work for him every day without paying, and they only give them food to eat. This is exploiting child labor. It's illegal. But that bastard said that this isn't child labor. He didn't even pay, so how can it be child labor? Oh my God, he can even say such words. Profiteer, he is definitely a shameless profiteer, shameless to the extreme. It's a pity that we can't bring out our soldiers and brothers in the game. If we could bring them out, we'd definitely be able to scare the sh*t out of that bastard human and make him surrender immediately. Don't talk about those ungrateful bastards. If they don't pay, they'll run away faster than anyone else. Yeah, we're still short on money. That bastard Prince Regent only gives us a little pocket money every month, and it's not even enough to buy equipment. You're obviously overflowing with wealth, but you're unwilling to part with a single cent. Hee hee. The richer a person is, the stingier he is. I've seen through that bastard. He's so stingy. Chong Xiaoqian and Tan Menglu angrily discussed how to deal with the tyrant monarchs. They felt that this could not go on, or else they would continue to be oppressed and bullied. Bang! At this moment, because the discussion was too intense, Chong Xiaoqian walked to the door of the classroom and did not notice that there was a figure at the door. Just like that, she bumped into it. Io, who is it? Who dares to block my path? Chong Xiaoqian felt as if she had bumped into a wall. Her head swelled, and she fell to the ground on her, but crying out in pain. She raised her head, wanting to know which fellow dared to offend the majesty of the king. But just as she raised her head, she saw a dazzling golden light appear in front of her. It was as if the entire classroom was filled with golden light. It was so bright that she was almost blinded. Who is it? Who is so inconsiderate as to place a light bulb at the door? Chong Xiaoqian said angrily. No, it's not a light bulb. It's a person. Tan Menglu said, a person. Hearing this, Chong Xiaoqian stood up and was immediately stunned. She saw a golden-haired lowly who was about the same size as them appearing at the door. She looked like she was carved out of jade and was very cute. However, this golden-haired lowly was not ordinary. She was wearing a golden dress hung with gems, a crown engraved with cosmic gems on her head, and even the shoes she was wearing were shining with astonishing treasure light. They were priceless. She was dumbfounded and felt that this golden-haired lowly was simply a walking treasure trove. Just a few jewels were enough for her to buy countless pieces of game equipment. Tyrant. There is no doubt that this person was a super tyrant, the kind that was overflowing with wealth. And this golden-haired lowly was none other than the golden slime, Xiao Jin. In order to let Xiao Jin gain some general knowledge about the universe, Xiaoping had also let her go to school with him and receive education from Green Cow and Corinne. Sorry, I was daydreaming at the door just now and accidentally bumped into you. Xiao Jin lowered his head and apologized. He was very polite and said very seriously, I'm the king of the slime race. My name is Xiao Jin, and I'm today's transfer student. In order to express my apology, I'll give you this emerald. I hope you don't mind. She grabbed with her small hand and immediately took out a fist-sized emerald. What was going on? Chong Xiaoqian was dumbfounded. A casual apology, and he gave her an emerald. She knew the price of this emerald. If she sold it, it would be worth 100,000 universe dollars. 100,000 universe dollars was actually thrown out just like that, as if he was casually giving a reward to a servant. She was clearly the king of the black hole worm race, a king, but she was so poor that she couldn't even afford a few pieces of game equipment. Yet, the other party casually threw out 100,000 universe dollars as if money wasn't money. Suddenly, She involuntarily felt a wave of sadness in her heart. Why was there such a big gap between kings? Was there still justice? Why was she so poor, and why was this guy so rich? For a moment, she felt a strong hostility toward this golden-haired lowly. This was the instinctive anger and jealousy of the poor toward the tyrant. She felt that this kind of behavior was simply a humiliation to the king. Even if she was very poor, she still had dignity and definitely couldn't accept food that was wasted. Pa, let go of your stinking money. Don't think that you're amazing just because you have some money, Chong Xiaoqian said angrily. Hearing this, Xiao Jin scratched her head and said doubtfully, "What? Why are you angry? Could it be that you don't have enough money? Are these enough?" She waved her hand, and with a clattering sound, a small mountain of gemstones appeared in front of Chong Xiaoqian. They shone with a dazzling light and were simply blinding everyone's eyes. Seeing this scene, everyone in the classroom, including Chong Xiaoqian, Tan Menglu, and the others, were stunned. Please remember this book's domain name. Third Sect Leader's Mobile Version. Chapter 22-27. Before Chong Xiaoqian could react, Tan Menglu pounced on the pile of gemstones like a hungry dog, shouting excitedly, "Oh my God! How many gemstones are there? How much are they worth? How many pieces of equipment can they buy? When the time comes, I'll buy a godly equipment, throw a godly equipment, and give away another godly equipment. I'll be invincible. Who in the entire gaming server can be a match for me? If you still dare to be so arrogant, I'll beat you up immediately." Her face was flushed red as she rubbed against the pile of gemstones excitedly. Her little heart was greatly stimulated, and she felt happiness and satisfaction that she had never felt before. Chong Xiaoqian, who did not want the gemstones, was immediately stunned by the pile of gemstones. This was simply a windfall from the heavens. It was like sweet dew after a long drought. It was enough to fill up all sorts of deficits in the game, and there was even room for improvement. Ahem, I didn't expect you to be so sincere. In that case, I'll forgive you. Remember, don't do it again. If the next time, I'll really be angry, the kind that even I'm afraid of when I'm angry. Chong Xiaoqian coughed, expressing that she was a magnanimous ruler. Offending her was a small matter, and it was not worth mentioning at all. These gemstones were treasures given to her by her subjects. After all, this was the authority of a ruler. She could accept these tributes with peace of mind. Thank you for forgiving me. Xiao Jin looked at Chong Xiaoqian and Tan Menglu innocently. You're called Xiao Jin, right? Very good. From now on, you'll be my best friend. I'll protect you in this school. If anyone dares to bully you, tell them my name immediately. I guarantee that they'll be scared shitless. Tan Menglu patted her chest and said in a domineering manner, expressing that she would protect Xiao Jin. I, Chong Xiaoqian, admire you very much. I can allow you to be the finance minister of my country in the future. You'll be in charge of all monetary transactions. Chong Xiaoqian nodded reservedly. She wanted Xiao Jin to be her finance minister. With such a tycoon as the finance minister of her country, would her country still lack money? He would probably be able to get a steady stream of money, and he wouldn't have to worry about not having enough money to spend. Kaka, I really am an extremely intelligent monarch to be able to think of such a brilliant plan in the blink of an eye. This is killing two birds with one stone. Chong Xiaoqian felt that she had gained great talent and foresight, and her future was bright. Yes, thank you for protecting me at school. Xiao Jin nodded obediently. All right, since you're our friend, I have a game I'd like to introduce to you. It's called Greatest King Competition. The three of us can form a team and sweep through that virtual online game world, becoming the true invincible kings. Tan Menglu immediately wanted to pull Xiao Jin into the group. Battle of the Kings? Game world? I don't really know what this is. Xiao Jin was confused. It's fine. This is a very simple matter. You'll understand once I teach you. Back then, Chong Xiaoqian was also a newbie. However, she quickly became a veteran. Tan Menglu expressed that it was not a big deal. Xiao Jin, I have to tell you this in advance. Chong Xiaoqian had a serious expression. Don't look down on it just because it's a game. Although it's very easy to get started, it's extremely difficult to play it well. The so-called threshold is behind the door. Back then, In order to play this game well, I spent a whole half a year. Half a year later, I finally learned a little bit of the game and became a top-notch expert. Furthermore, this is because I'm very talented. If it's those without talent, there's no need to talk about it. Even if you give them 10 years, they won't be able to improve. In this industry, it's all about comprehension and talent, understand? She stood with her hands behind her back. She looked up at the sky and sighed, as if she had experienced a lot of bloodshed. So there's actually so much knowledge in games. Looks like it's really broad and profound. It sounds very complicated. Xiao Jin nodded like a chick pecking at rice, indicating that he would treat it seriously and humbly accept all kinds of guidance. Not bad. You're very humble. You're worth teaching. Looks like you have some talent in games. Let's not talk too much. Enter the virtual world and set up an account first. Cheng Xiaoqian felt that her vanity was greatly satisfied. This was what it felt like to be a teacher. Looking at Xiao Jin, she felt like she was looking at herself when she was still a newbie. Back then, she didn't know how long she had to struggle before she could achieve something insignificant in the game world. And now, Xiao Jin was her old self. She felt that she had a great responsibility to educate him. Enter the virtual world? But don't we have class later? Xiao Jin asked curiously. What class? Is class more important than playing games? Say no more. I'll take you to skip class today. Let's play a few classes on the roof of the teaching building first. Tan Menglu skipped class with Xiao Jin and Cheng Xiaoqian and went straight to the roof. She then taught Xiao Jin how to set up an account in the virtual world and how to enter the game world. Wow, is this a virtual world game? It's so realistic, just like the real world. With Tan Menglu's guidance, Xiao Jin entered the game world and searched around like a curious baby. Of course, this game is one of the most popular games in the universe. It's 99.9% realistic and is popular in the universe. Realism is just the basic operation. Cheng Xiaoqian was in high spirits and went forward to teach. After you enter the game, buy a few pieces of beginner equipment and arm yourself. Then, go kill monsters and level up. After that, you'll leave the beginner village. Because we played for a long time, we're all high-level players. After you leave the beginner village, we'll continue to help you level up. We'll team up to kill monsters and finally become the strongest king. After a while, Xiao Jin complained. This game is so hard. Why do I only lose 1 HP when I kill monsters, but monsters lose a lot of HP when they hit me? I've died a few times. Hearing this, Cheng Xiaoqian sneered. I've already told you not to underestimate this game. There's a lot of knowledge in this game. How to move, block, attract aggro, kiting, circling, coordinating with teammates, and so on. These are all profound skills. You still have a lot to learn. Back then, I spent 2 weeks just to get out of the beginner village, and I only managed to grasp a little bit of it. You're still far from it. However, before Cheng Xiaoqian could finish speaking, Xiao Jin's voice rang out again. Wow, there seems to be a shop here. There seems to be a lot of good equipment. There's even an explosion scroll. It says that one scroll can kill a bunch of monsters and level up quickly. Chapter 22-28. Hearing this, Cheng Xiaoqian's expression changed drastically. She screamed in fear, Xiao Jin, don't be rash. That shop is a demon, a super demon. You can't open it. Once you open it, it will devour your money. It's a bottomless pit. You can't fall into that evil trap, or you won't be able to leave. Her face was filled with unbearable memories. However, before Cheng Xiaoqian could finish her sentence, Xiao Jin's excited voice rang out again. Oh my god, the shop is really amazing. Those exploding scrolls and whatnot killed a whole bunch of those monsters. I seem to be leveling up really fast. One level after another. I can't stop at all. Cheng Xiaoqian nodded. What? Cheng Xiaoqian and Tan Menglu immediately looked over and brought up Xiao Jin's game screen. Xiao Jin was waiting in a valley in the novice village. This was the novice village's famous monster nest. Novice entering was a place where they would definitely die. This was known as the novice burial ground. Who knew how many people had left their bodies here, filled with hatred? However, the valley had now become hell on earth. Little Gold held explosive scrolls and excitedly threw them towards the valley. The sky was filled with flying explosive scrolls. Bang, bang, bang. In an instant, hundreds and thousands of explosion scrolls exploded at the same time, killing all the monsters in the valley. They could not even last for a second. Even the boss in the valley was killed before it could come out. Beep, beep, beep. They could hear Shout Gene leveling up from time to time. He received a large amount of experience. In just a few minutes, Shout Gene had leveled up 10 times. This was the upper limit of the novice village. He could leave the novice village now. Then, Shout Gene shouted excitedly, I leveled up. I leveled up again. Yeah, it seems like I've reached the upper limit of the novice village. I can leave the novice village now. She turned around and looked at Chong Xiaoqian and Tan Menglu in confusion. Strange, didn't you say it would take at least 2 weeks to leave the novice village? Why can I leave in just a few minutes? Tell me honestly, how many explosive scrolls did you buy just now? Chong Xiaoqian asked. Not many. I only bought 1,000. Originally, I wanted to buy 10,000, but before I could finish using them, all of them died. How fragile. One explosion killed a large number of them. Xiao Jin said with a sorrowful look on his face. 1,000. Hearing this, Chong Xiaoqian and Tan Menglu's mouths twitched, and their faces turned as black as charcoal. A single explosion scroll cost 100 universe credits, so 1,000 explosion scrolls would cost 100,000 universe credits. When they first saw this amount of money, they immediately cursed out loud. This game company was completely inhumane. No one would buy such a damn thing. With this money, they could just farm monsters for a few hours. There was no need to buy such a scam. However, they never thought that there would be such a spendthrift like Xiao Jin. Just to get out of the novice village, he actually went crazy and bought 1,000 explosion scrolls. He spent 100,000 universe dollars. He was too abnormal. He wasn't human at all. Where did you get so much money? Taminglu asked. She knew that Little Gold had countless gems on him, but if he wanted to exchange them for universe dollars, he needed a channel. This online game only required universe dollars and no other currency. Master gave it to me. He gave me a black card. I think it's called the Universe Bank Black Card. I think I could just swipe money, so I swiped it. I didn't feel anything. Xiao Jin said honestly. What? The Universe Bank Black Card? Isn't that the best VIP card in the universe? This card is simply the card of God. Its upper limit is 100 billion universe dollars. As long as you don't exceed this limit, you can swipe as much as you want. Tan Menglu was stunned. She didn't expect Xiao Jin to have a black card. This was a symbol of status. People like her Taodai clan didn't have a black card. This was because their credit was too bad. They couldn't even feed themselves, so how could they have money? The Universe Bank wouldn't do that. They would make a loss. Hee, don't think that you can do whatever you want in this game, just because you have money. I have to tell you a cruel truth. Chong Xiaoqian laughed coldly. The novice village is just the beginning. What's really important is after you leave the novice village. The monsters outside the novice village are more than 10 times stronger. Not only do they have strong defense, but they also have high health. Sometimes, you can't even kill a boss in an hour. Most importantly, after you leave the novice village, players can fight with each other. If they kill you, you'll drop equipment. Therefore, having good equipment won't be of much use. The key is still your mechanical skills and team battle awareness. Without these things, it will be difficult for you to advance in the game. She warned Xiao Jin. This game wasn't that simple. The later it was, the harder it would be. Sometimes, you wouldn't even be able to level up after a month. However, before Chong Xiaoqian could finish her sentence, Xiao Jin yelled excitedly, Look, there are so many powerful pieces of equipment in the shop. Black gold armor, which increases defense by 99, dark gold spirit sword, which increases attack by 99, speed boots, which increases movement speed by 99, power ring, which increases strength by 99. Buy them all. What? When Chong Xiaoqian and Tan Menglu heard this, their faces turned green. These were all extremely powerful equipment. They were also known as Universe Dollars equipment. Any one of them was worth 100,000 Universe Dollars. Some were worth 500,000 Universe Dollars. If all these equipment were equipped, even if Xiao Jin was only a level 10 character, he would be able to challenge level 20 or even level 30 experts. He could even beat them up. When they first saw these equipment, their faces turned green. They couldn't afford it at all. Wow, killing monsters is so easy. Swish, 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 swish. It's like cutting grass. The damage is even critical hits. They die after one slash. They die again. They're all dead. How did I kill all these monsters in just a few seconds? Beeping sounds came from Xiao Jin's body. She leveled up crazily. In less than 10 minutes, she leveled up to level 20. She enjoyed all the experience here. She was even crazy enough to spend money to buy 10 times the experience card and 10 times the money card. Killing one monster was equivalent to killing 10 monsters. The money dropped was also 10 times the experience. However, such experience and money cards were also very expensive. They cost 100,000 universe dollars each and lasted for 2 hours. They were also known as nouveau riche cards. Those who weren't rich couldn't afford them at all. Seeing this, Chong Xiaoqian and Tan Menglu. Chapter 22-29. One day later, Xiao Jin left the school in satisfaction. She expressed that she had a great time today and would come again tomorrow. Two little Lolas were left on the roof with ashen faces. They looked like they had suffered a serious blow, twitching from time to time. Sob, sob, I can't accept this. After a long time, Chong Xiaoqian said in grief and indignation, Why? I've worked so hard to play the game for more than half a year. I've teamed up with teams to clear dungeons every day. I haven't missed any activities. I've learned all kinds of game skills and watched all kinds of strategy videos. But she's caught up to us in just one day. That's too much. She recalled all the hardships she had gone through while playing the game. However, compared to Xiao Jin, her efforts seemed to be nothing. She couldn't compare to him playing for a day. Thinking of this, she was extremely furious and infuriated. It can't be helped. She bought a 10x experience card and 10x money card. Killing one monster is equivalent to killing 10 of us. Moreover, she doesn't need to form a team to share the experience. She can farm alone, so of course she can level up quickly. Tan Minglu's mouth twitched as she defended Xiao Jin's actions. If she doesn't form a team, who would want to form a team? The problem is that she can't farm monsters or dungeons alone. The monsters have high attack and HP. But this girl bought a bunch of universe coins equipment in the shop. She kills monsters like it's money. She can kill a bunch of monsters with one slash. Even the boss can't take 3 slashes from her. When those monsters hit her, she didn't lose a single bit of HP. Is there any justice in this world? At this point, Chong Xiaoqian almost cried. She clearly remembered how hard it was when she fought monsters. In order to avoid the monsters' attacks, she had to learn all kinds of maneuvers and dodges. That kind of hard work went without saying. She had never worked so hard in her life. But now, she had learned all kinds of game skills. She was basically a noob. She just stood there and let the monsters hit her. She didn't lose a single drop of HP. She forcefully slaughtered the monsters, and with a few swishes, they were all annihilated. Why is there such a huge gap between people? Is there any justice? Is there any fairness? The most outrageous thing is that she actually paid those NPC mercenary groups to help her farm monsters. This is blatant cheating. This is too much. You can play like this just because you have money. Chong Xiaoqian gritted her teeth. Normal people would only form a party to kill monsters together, but Xiao Jin was different. Relying on his money, he actually hired a game character to help him kill monsters, and he didn't need to share the experience. As expected, the level of Xiao Jin's character skyrocketed without stopping. Don't worry. Killing monsters and looting treasures is only a part of the game. The most important thing is still PvP with other players. No matter how rich she is, she will be defeated if she meets other players. The most important thing in this game is game skills. She still has a lot to learn. Tan Menglu was still very stubborn, and her expression was very stiff. Bullsh *T. It would have been better if you hadn't mentioned it. Now that you've mentioned it, I'm filled with anger. Chong Xiaoqian said in a frenzy. Xiao Jin and I ran into a rival guild, the Shadow Wolves. Those guys came looking for trouble with us every day, and we often fought them to our heart's content. The leader of the Shadow Wolves is also a god-level player. We were bullied by them many times and formed a deep hatred. It can be said that we cannot live under the same sky. To be honest, Even though there was enmity between the two sides, they were all working for their own masters. I was also very impressed with the leader of the Shadow Wolves. He had all sorts of moves like full moon steps, lover steps, and some sword skills. He was amazing, as expected of a god-level player who had dominated the gaming world for over a decade. Our skills can't compare to his. At that time, the leader of the Shadow Wolves was extremely arrogant in front of Xiao Jin. He wanted to do all kinds of fancy skills to tease Xiao Jin. He used all kinds of footwork, all kinds of flashes, and all kinds of skills. Who would have thought that Xiao Jin didn't even look and just used one slash? One slash. Just a light graze and a critical hit. The leader of the Shadow Wolves died. He was as fragile as a piece of paper, and all his equipment fell to the ground. You didn't hear the cry of the Shadow Wolves collapse. It was truly a scene of sorrow and sorrow. It was said that the equipment that dropped was something that their guild had spent a month killing bosses to finally get. Now it dropped with a single slash. A month's worth of hard work was all wasted. When the other members of the Shadow Wolves saw this, they also wanted to take revenge. However, they didn't expect Little Gold to charge forward and kill them all with a few more slashes. Their equipment fell to the ground, and they all became penniless. She could see the collapse of the Shadow Wolves. It must have left an unforgettable psychological scar in their hearts. They were clearly god-level players who had played for a long time and honed countless skills. However, they were brainlessly controlled by a noob and killed with a few slashes. It didn't take much effort. This is purely because Xiao Jin bought a dragon blade worth 30 million universe dollars. Its attributes are awesome, so it's normal for it to have a critical hit. Tan Menglu's face was as black as charcoal. Her hands were trembling. She couldn't hold on any longer. Yes, it's because she bought a dragon blade that she could easily kill a god-level gamer. She killed that Ace Game Guild until they cried for their parents as if they were chopping melons and vegetables. But in this way, what's the point of this game? It's not fun at all. Strong or not. Can't you just buy a dragon blade? I don't want to play this game anymore. It's not fun at all. Chong Xiaoqian cried loudly. She felt that her many years of faith had completely collapsed. She felt that she had lost all interest in this game in an instant. She no longer had the feeling of being addicted to it. Through this incident, she realized that only rich people played games. They were played by games and played by rich people. Bastard Xiao Jin, you've really gone too far. Tan Menglu couldn't take it anymore and cursed. What's so great about being rich? You can bully people like this just because you have money. You can do whatever you want in the game world just because you have money. Even if you can't bully people like this. She felt that Xiao Jin was deliberately sent over by that bastard's master, Xiaoping, to help them quit their online fantasies. It had to be said that it was very successful. They immediately lost interest in this game, as if they had lost all their fighting spirit. After all, they had worked hard for a few months, but they weren't even as good as him spending a bit of money. Even a god-level player was killed by him with a single slash. How could they play? In the future, I won't play games with such a tycoon, even if I'm beaten to death. Chong Xiaoqian and Tan Menglu gritted their teeth and decided to resolutely refuse to play games with Xiao Jin again. Chapter 2230. Several days later, Xiaoping was cultivating peacefully in the space of the Mountain River Pearl. Although it had only been a few days, his magic power and soul power had been strengthened, and he was getting closer and closer to the late stage of the sempiternal realm. He did not care about the situation of Xiao Jin and the others. In any case, nothing would happen to them if they stayed in the space of the Mountain River Pearl. As for the arrangements of the illusion race and the others, he was even less concerned. Even their sage Sophia was completely under his control. Even if someone wanted to resist, they would not be able to cause any trouble. Not to mention, this was the space of the Mountain River Pearl. Everything was under the control of the Green Ox. Originally, he wanted to find Qiushu and Su Mei, but after their cultivation broke through, they did not continue to stay in the space of the Mountain River Pearl. Instead, they returned to Chinquo's Star. This was because they still needed to continue adventuring and cultivating. Even though the space of the Mountain River Pearl had a huge amount of resources to assist in their cultivation, they still needed to devour and refine them by themselves. Only then could they continue to achieve breakthroughs. Continuing to stay in a comfortable place, like the space of the mountain river pearl, would only make them lazy, which was not good for their cultivation in the future. Thus, they decided to continue adventuring in the universe. As for the many spirit herbs and sage herbs that Xiaoping had obtained, they were also arranged by the green ox. They were all planted in a medicinal garden in the space of the mountain river pearl. This had already become a sage herb garden. This place was set up with powerful restrictive arrays everywhere, and no one could enter easily. The green ox was extremely excited to see so many sage herbs. Even a mountain river sage did not obtain so many sage herbs at his peak. After all, to obtain a large number of sage herbs, not only did one need strength, but also luck. Sometimes, one would need to consume a portion of the sage herbs for cultivation, so there were not many left. No matter how powerful the mountain river sage was, he could not compare to a powerful race like the illusion race. Thus, it was natural that the number of sage herbs he obtained was less than the current Xiaoping. And on this day, the Trant race girl Ruth came to visit excitedly, saying that the Trant race's elder Richie had finally found the location of the tree realm. After spending so much time, has he finally found the tree realm? Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. Originally, the Trant race's elder Richie had said that it would take a few days to find the tree realm. However, he did not expect that after a few months, there would still be no news. Only today did elder Richie of the Trant tribe announce that he had found the location of the tree realm. That's right, we've finally found the tree world. The reason why we haven't been able to find the location of the tree world before was because the tree world's position was erratic and it roamed around. It has only stabilized today. Trant tribe elder Richie said in a deep voice, indicating that he didn't expect that it would take so long. Erratic? Why is that? Xiaoping raised his eyebrows, feeling that this matter was very unusual. I'm not sure. However, I'm guessing that the tree kingdom is under attack. That's why it keeps moving. The Trant clan's elder's face was solemn. He felt that the Trant clan was in great danger. Otherwise, the tree realm wouldn't have moved around to avoid danger. More importantly, the Trant race's holy tree was on the brink of death. If it moved at all times, it would greatly deplete the holy tree's life force and cause the holy tree to enter the crisis of death. His heart was burning with anxiety, and he couldn't wait to find the tree world immediately. Where's the tree world? Xiaoping asked. It's about 300 million light years away from here. Trant tribe elder Richie thought about it carefully and indicated that it was still relatively far from where Xiaoping was. It's a small matter. We'll arrive in a day, Xiaoping said calmly. He had a Saint-class spaceship like Multistar, which was so fast that it left people speechless. A mere 300 million light years was nothing to him. That's good. Trant tribe elder Richie immediately heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, they had found the Lord God's contractor. Otherwise, they might not have been able to survive this crisis. Another day passed. Under the guidance of the Trant race's elder Ricky, the stars quickly traveled through the universe, passing through the void and traversing 300 million light years before finally arriving at the tree realm. We're here. That's the tree world. Trant tribe elder Richie suddenly pointed at the void in front of them. Upon hearing that, Xiaoping looked over and activated the Hell Golden Crow's eyes to see through the void. Soon, he saw a huge world hidden in the depths of the dimension. The huge world looked like a huge tree that stood tall and spanned over 100 light years. Its roots and branches were extremely thick, and each of them was like a galaxy that stretched across the void. Thousands of roots pierced into the void, as if they were communicating with countless dimensional worlds. They absorbed the dimensional energy and made it their own, as if they were constantly strengthening the tree world's power. The entire tree world emitted endless green light like a star, emitting eternal heat and life energy. It was like a great cosmic life form, like an ancient creature that had lived for an unknown period of time. Xiaoping's heart skipped a beat. He immediately sensed the greatness of the tree world. It was not as simple as a world. It was basically a great ancient life form that had lived for an unknown period of time. Meanwhile, the so-called Trant tribe was probably born from the depths of the tree world. They were only living beings that were attached to the tree world. Sensing such a life aura, the world tree in the depths of his sea of consciousness also trembled slightly. Every branch was trembling, producing a strong desire to devour. It simply wanted to take the tree world for itself. No, something's wrong. There's a huge problem with the tree world. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He sensed that the depths of the great tree world contained endless danger. It seemed like the depths of the tree world had been attacked by someone, and huge holes had appeared. Moreover, the branches and roots that were originally filled with life energy were all broken at this moment, as if they had been completely destroyed by some great power. Even with the power of the tree world, there was no way for it to recover in a short time. However, these were only ordinary injuries. He sensed that the most serious injury of the tree world was still in the depths of its soul. He could vaguely sense a powerful, deathly aura coming from the depths of the tree world, as if it would die at any time. It was as if a strange power was devouring the tree world's life energy. The Trant tribe elder Richie also saw this situation, and he immediately became anxious. Lord Xia, there's indeed a huge problem in the tree world. Let's enter the tree world immediately. No problem. Xiaoping nodded. The Trant tribe elder Richie formed a seal with his hands, seemingly communicating with the power of the tree world itself. Boom, in the next second, a wave of green energy enveloped Xiaoping and Richie's bodies. It traveled through the void and instantly entered the tree world. Chapter 22:31. I'll make it up tomorrow. Sorry, everyone, please don't wait today. Godly demon, please take a day off. Currently typing, please wait for a moment. After the content has been updated, please refresh the page to receive the latest update. Chapter 22:32. Tree World. With a swoosh, a stream of light streaked across the sky. Xiaoping and Ricky immediately appeared on the ground of the tree world. This is the tree world. Xiaoping looked around and realized that the interior of the tree world was completely different from what he saw outside. This was a complete world with thick soil and thousands of rivers. There were lush forests and jungles all around. There were tall trees, weeds, and colorful flowers everywhere. There were also countless spirit herbs, and the entire place exuded a rich aura of life. It was as if this world was a world of plants. The surroundings were like primordial forests. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. As soon as they arrived at the tree world, the surrounding trees seemed to move as if they had awakened from a deep slumber. They rustled and surrounded Xiaoping and Ricky in an instant. Who has intruded into the tree world? An angry roar sounded out as tens of thousands of trees surrounded them. These were the guards of the Trant tribe, the Steel Guardians. They were forged from steel trees and contained indestructible bodies. They could be said to be an impenetrable fortress. It was obvious that Xiaoping's human aura had spread out, and it had alarmed the many Trant tribe soldiers. In particular, the tree world was currently facing an unprecedented crisis. It was a time when every tree and bush was an enemy. A human suddenly appearing here was enough to shock countless Trant tribe soldiers. Don't be rash. It's me. At this moment, Ricky's voice sounded out. At the same time, he formed a seal with his hands. The green aura of the Trant tribe immediately covered a radius of thousands of kilometers. All the Trant tribe soldiers felt this aura and immediately calmed down. It was as if they had been comforted. It's Elder Ricky. At this moment, a captain of the Trant tribe soldiers who was 150 meters tall walked out and said in surprise, "Elder Ricky, weren't you looking for traces of the divine tree in the outside world? Why did you suddenly come back? Could it be that you found the divine tree?" The captain immediately recognized Ricky's identity. "Well, I have some clues, but this matter is of great importance. I need to convene an elder-level meeting." Ricky was still very calm. He did not rashly reveal Xiaoping's identity. After all, he did not know what had happened in the tree world. It was better to hide it for a while. There was no need to let such an important piece of news leak out all of a sudden. Otherwise, unpredictable things might happen. Hearing this, The Trant tribe captain immediately said, "So that's how it is. Then I'll immediately notify the patriarch and the elders to immediately prepare for the meeting." With a light tap, a green talisman flew out. Like a ray of light, it instantly sank into the deepest part of the tree world. This was the Trant tribe's communication method. It could transmit information at the fastest speed and ignore the restraints of space. Crash. Not long after, hundreds or even thousands of auras flew out from the depths of the tree realm. They streaked across the sky like meteors and flew over. Immediately, one Trant elder after another appeared in front of Xiaoping and Ricky. Each and every one of them exuded a powerful life force, as if they were ancient antiques who had lived for countless years. There are quite a few experts here. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He could sense that the strength of these Trant tribe elders was in no way inferior to Elder Ricky. In fact, there were even 3 extremely ancient existences among them who had reached the sempiternal realm. In fact, the most ancient elder among them had reached the near-ancient sage realm. His body exuded a powerful spatial domain aura that seemed to envelop the entire tree world. Grand Elder, seeing the old Trant, the many elders and soldiers of the Trant tribe respectfully greeted him. Even Ricky lowered his head in a respectful manner. After all, this was the Grand Elder of the Trant tribe, as well as the strongest existence, near-ancient sage Cecil. "Ricky, you've returned. Not bad. But who is this human?" Grand Elder Cecil nodded and looked at Xiaoping. He could sense that this human was extraordinary. His body exuded an aura of immortality, eternity, greatness, primal chaos, and many other auras. Evidently, he had reached the sempiternal realm. But even so, as a near-ancient sage who had comprehended the laws of space, he actually felt a trace of apprehension toward this human. It was as if this human could pose a great threat to him. This was truly inconceivable. After all, a near-ancient sage who had comprehended the laws of space was practically a legend. Their strength far surpassed an immortal sage, and they could not be mentioned in the same breath. Even the strongest experts of some large tribes were only near-ancient sages. Such a character was unbelievably powerful, yet he actually felt apprehension toward an immortal sage. He even thought that this human might pose a threat to him. Even if this was just a misconception, it was enough to make him regard Xiaoping with unparalleled importance. "Grand Elder, this is a lord that I specially invited back this time. He has a way to heal the holy tree's injuries," Ricky immediately said. He did not expose the fact that Xiaoping possessed the world tree. After all, this matter was of great importance. Now that there were so many people around, if he revealed this matter, it might be exposed and cause all sorts of trouble. There was no need for him to reveal this matter. What? This human can heal the holy tree's injuries? What kind of joke is this? Is this real or fake? The holy tree's injuries have not healed for millions of years. Even Grand Elder couldn't find a way to heal it, yet this human can do it. However, Elder Ricky is also a highly respected elder. Since he has the guts to say such a thing, it might be true. Indeed, Elder Ricky has roamed the universe for tens of thousands of years. He will definitely obtain some benefits. If he can really do it, then our Trant race will be saved. We won't be wiped out. Hearing this, many of the Trant race soldiers discussed spiritedly. They were extremely excited and looked at Xiaoping with great anticipation. Some of the Trant race elders were very knowledgeable and had lived for countless years. Even though Ricky said this, they still looked at Xiaoping with doubt. After all, they couldn't see how this human, Xiaoping, could heal the holy tree. In reality, after so many years, their Trant race had paid a large number of treasures and invited countless powerhouses over. Each time, they said that there was hope, but they still failed in the end. After experiencing countless failures, they were a little disheartened. Even though Ricky said this, it only gave them a little more hope. What kind of joke is this? Ricky, are you crazy? This is just a human. What ability does he have to heal our Trant race's holy tree? Have you lived for too long and become muddle-headed? Have you been deceived by others? But at this moment, a voice was heard. It was a cold snort and a doubtful voice. Many of the Treants looked over. The one who spoke was the Treant race's patriarch, Fred, a peak-level undying sage. Please remember this book's domain name, mobile version. Chapter 2233. Patriarch Fred, I'm confident in this matter. Hearing the patriarch's doubt, Elder Ricky was full of confidence because he knew that Xia Ping had signed a contract with the World Tree. Xia Ping, who had the World Tree's power, was equivalent to grasping the most ancient plant power and life force. If even Xia Ping could not save the Treant race's holy tree, then no one could. Confident? What kind of confidence are you? Patriarch Fred sneered. It's not like you don't know the nature of humans. All of them are treacherous and untrustworthy. How many times have they deceived our Treant tribe? Do you still remember? This, Elder Ricky was momentarily speechless, because the reputation of the human race in the universe was not very good. After all, there were too many humans. Even if there were many good people, there were also some bad people and unscrupulous merchants. These people specialized in selling inferior products to other races, often broke contracts like to kill and rob, and so on. They caused irreparable losses to other races and also made many races hostile to the human race. Many Treant soldiers also understood Patriarch Fred's thinking, especially since Patriarch Fred had once interacted with humans. He had gone to a human auction to buy some medicine that might be able to cure the holy tree. Who would have thought that this news was fake? It was purposely released by some human forces in order to lure the Treant race into a trap. At that time, Patriarch Fred had been tricked and was ambushed by some powerful beings of the human race. In the end, Fred's friends and family, even his wife, had all died. He was the only one who came back alive. Therefore, from then on, Fred hated the human race to the extreme. It was simply an irreconcilable hatred. Some human slave merchants even liked to capture the Treants as slaves. This made the Treants even more resentful towards the human race. Therefore, when Xia Ping appeared in the tree world, he immediately attracted the attention of countless Treant soldiers and made them nervous. If it weren't for Elder Richie's presence, they would have immediately attacked Xia Ping. Richie, you can't speak, can you? Patriarch Fred sneered. I guess you must have been deceived by this swindler human. I don't know what flowery words he used to deceive you, making you believe that he can cure the holy tree. But in front of me, this human could not use any of his tricks. Human, surrender immediately. Hand over all your magic treasures and kneel down to surrender. Otherwise, I'll make sure you die today. He stared murderously at Xia Ping. Patriarch, don't go too far. I invited him back to the tree world to heal the sacred tree. Whether he can do it or not, can't we just let him try? Why was there a need to fight and kill here? Our Treant tribe doesn't have a tradition of treating our guests like this. Furthermore, the human race is very big, and not everyone is a bad person. Elder Ricky frowned. Shut up, Richie. Patriarch Fred shouted angrily. Since when did you have a right to speak? You're just a little elder, and I'm the patriarch. Please know your place. Don't be impolite here. Furthermore, the sacred tree is of utmost importance to our Treant race. It is the true forbidden area. How can we let this dirty and shameless human get close to it? What would you do if he had any ill intentions? Would you be able to bear the responsibility if anything happened to the holy tree? If we don't thoroughly investigate his background, how can we be at ease? You. Elder Ricky was furious, but he was so angry that he couldn't say anything. The surrounding Treant soldiers were silent. They also felt that their patriarch's words were very reasonable. Strange. At this time, Xia Ping raised his brows and looked at Patriarch Fred. Didn't you say that the tree world is filled with Treants? Why aren't you Treant? Were you? What? Elder Richie trembled violently upon hearing this. He stared at Chief Fred in disbelief. The other elders of the Treant tribe also revealed astonished expressions. Great Elder Cecil's eyes even revealed a trace of undetectable cold light. Not a Treant. Human, what the hell are you talking about? You're about to die, and you're still trying to mislead us. What are you planning? Patriarch Fred didn't expect Xiaoping to say such words. He was so frightened that his face turned ferocious, as if his biggest secret had been seen through. Still putting on an act here. My eyes can see through all illusions in this world. Although you've concealed it well, you can't fool my eyes. You're just a monster in the shell of a treant. Deep inside your soul, Xiaoping still wanted to say something. However, Patriarch Fred's expression changed greatly. He immediately shouted and interrupted Xiaoping. Enough! You lowly human! How dare you come to my treant tribe's territory and stir up trouble? You're courting your own death. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. I'll send you to hell, never to be reincarnated. Boom! As soon as he finished speaking, he immediately made his move. He displayed the magic power of a peak immortal realm expert and a terrifying mental domain. It shrouded the entire place and seemed to form a death domain. Swoosh! Swoosh! At the same time, thousands of emerald green branches burst out from his body and formed a death forest cage that spanned millions of miles. Each branch could easily pierce through an immortal saint's body and produce a powerful devouring power. This was his peerless ability, blood-sucking forest. Once trapped in this forest, even a sage with an immortal body would be devoured clean of all the flesh and blood on his body. Even his soul would be devoured cleanly. Even among the immortal saints, Patriarch Fred was an extremely powerful existence. You're courting death. Xiaoping's eyes were indifferent. He didn't even look at Fred and threw a punch at him. Peerless ability, Sun God Fist. Instantly, all the mystical flame power in his body gathered in the depths of his fist and condensed into a sun. It emitted an eternal scorching light and endless heat. The moment it appeared, it seemed like all the water within millions of miles was completely evaporated. The surrounding trance soldiers couldn't help but let out miserable screams. It seemed like a ray of sunlight was enough to turn them into dried corpses. Swoosh! The sun swept over. Instantly, countless branches that Fred had blasted out were burned and turned into ashes. The entire blood-sucking forest was burned and all the water evaporated. Immediately, Fred let out a shrill scream. His entire body was hit, shattered into pieces, and completely blasted into smithereens. With just one punch, Fred was completely crippled. With a cracking sound, his body exploded. However, at this moment, a wisp of black smoke flew out from the depths of Fred's head and condensed into a black worm. It seemed like it was trying to escape into the void. Please remember this book's domain name. Mobile version. Chapter 2234. Trying to run? Before Xiaoping could make a move, Cecil, who was next to him, made a grabbing motion. The void distorted, producing a powerful spatial force that seemed to form a world. With a boom, the black bug was instantly captured and bound in a spatial cage. No matter how hard it tried, it couldn't escape from the spatial cage. Damn it, it's a puppet bug. Many treant elders' expressions changed drastically. They looked at the black bug that was bound in mid-air in disbelief. They couldn't believe that their chief, Fred, had become a puppet bug. Many of the treant tribe soldiers also suffered a huge blow. Originally, they were still angry that Xiaoping killed their patriarch, but before they could get angry, their patriarch turned into a puppet worm. The changes happened too quickly. What's a puppet bug? Xiaoping looked at Elder Rich with a puzzled expression. The so-called puppet bug is the bug tribe's famous assassin race. It's adept at hiding deep inside a corpse and controlling the corpse. No one can detect any changes in it, and it's no different from usual. The most terrifying thing is that it can control the power of the corpse itself. Elder Rich's expression was solemn. It can be said that this puppet bug is an extremely terrifying insect of the insect race. It's proficient in assassination and hiding. It's invisible and traceless. Unless you kill the corpse, you won't be able to discover its true body. The problem is, who would kill their own people for no reason? That's why the puppet bugs are feared by many races. They can compete with the illusion race. However, although the puppet bug ability is terrifying, there are too few of them. The insect race won't casually send them out to avoid huge losses. In other words, your chief, Fred, has probably died a long time ago. Xiaoping said in a low voice. That's right. If I'm not wrong, the last time the chief went out, he was ambushed by the human race. No, maybe it wasn't an ambush by the human race. At that time, he was already dead. What came back was just a puppet with a puppet bug. Elder Rich gritted his teeth. No wonder I felt that the chief's personality changed greatly after he came back. He's completely different from before. He's bloodthirsty and ruthless. That's right. I thought it was because of the last ambush. His family, friends, and even his wife all died. That's why the chief became like this. I didn't expect all of this to be fake, and the clan leader is just a puppet. It's over, it's all over. We've been tricked. If even the chief is a puppet, then wouldn't all the information about our Trant tribe be leaked to the insect tribe? No wonder the arachnid tribe could easily find us no matter where we went. It turns out that our Trant tribe has a traitor like our patriarch. Damn it, so many of our brothers died because of these puppet insects. Many of the Trant tribe's elders and soldiers were furious. They stared angrily at the bound puppet insect and wished they could skin it and pull out its tendons. They also suddenly understood that all the things that had gone wrong before had a great deal to do with the patriarch Fred. TSK Tisk, that's right. You guessed it right. The puppet bug that was bound in midair laughed cruelly and said, "A bunch of stupid trants. I didn't expect you to realize that I'm a fake Fred only now. Unfortunately, it's too late. Your sacred trees are about to wither, and we, the insect tribe, also know the specific location of the tree world. The insect tribe's army is about to arrive, and your Tran tribe is about to be destroyed. I advise you to surrender now. Otherwise, when the insect tribe's army arrives, all of you Trants will die without a burial place. If you surrender now and become our puppet, you might still have a chance to live." It was arrogant and had an extremely arrogant attitude. It did not look like a prisoner at all. Damn it. Hearing that, many of the Trant tribe's elders and soldiers were even more furious. They could not wait to kill the puppet bug and cut it into pieces to vent their anger. However, the puppet bug did not care about the Trant tribe's anger at all. Instead, it turned around and looked at Xia Ping with a gloomy expression. "Human, how did you see through my identity? My puppet bug's ability is unparalleled in the world. It's impossible for you to find out so easily. What method did you use?" It felt that its identity being exposed was the greatest humiliation. One must know that even Cecil, who was an ancient sage, would not be able to sense anything wrong with it. However, this human had seen through its identity the moment they met. Could it be that this human had really mastered a way to see through the puppet bug? If that was the case, it would definitely be a huge blow to the puppet bug. It had to understand this point. You don't have to worry about that. What's the point of knowing so much when you're about to die? You just have to know that your so-called ability is nothing to hide from me. Xiaoping stood with his hands behind his back. Someone who's about to die? Are you kidding me? My insect tribe's army is about to arrive. Try and touch a single hair of my puppet bug. Do you believe that the Tran tribe will be completely annihilated? Even if I gave you 100 guts, you wouldn't dare to kill me. If you offend the insect tribe, your Tran tribe will not be able to survive. The puppet bug clamored. This was not a threat, but a fact. This was because the insect tribe was also one of the top races in the universe. Their strength was not inferior to the human race. Before the abyssal demons appeared, the insect tribe was known as a calamity. Wherever the insect tribe appeared, it would be the end of the world. Countless lives would wither and die. Star regions would turn into deadlands. You're courting death. I don't dare to kill you. You killed so many elites of my Tran tribe. Your death will not be regretted. As soon as he finished speaking, Great Elder Cecil's eyes flashed with a cold light. He flipped his palm. The puppet worm's eyes were wide open, and it couldn't even say a word. With a bang, its entire body shattered, and even its soul was crushed into powder. It couldn't be more dead. Great Elder. Many of the Tran tribe's elders and soldiers revealed expressions of satisfaction. Even though killing the puppet bug would result in serious consequences, the Tran tribe still had dignity. They would definitely not accept any humiliation. This human, I'm really grateful that you've seen through the puppet bug's true colors. If not for you, my Trant tribe would have suffered great losses. Great Elder Cecil said to Xia Ping gratefully. Because the puppet bug's ability was strange and unpredictable, it seemed to be doted on by the laws of the universe. Even he couldn't discover anything fishy about it. Many of the Trant tribe's elders were also extremely grateful to Xia Ping. It's just a small matter. It's nothing much. Xia Ping waved his hand. His expression was very calm. Please remember this book's domain name, mobile version. Chapter 2235. At this moment, in the deepest part of the tree world, it was the Trant race's forbidden area. All of the ordinary Trants had left, leaving behind only Grand Elder Cecil, Elder Ricky, a few other core elders, and Xia Ping. All right, Ricky, can you tell us why Mr. Xia was able to save the holy tree? Grand Elder Cecil also learned of Xia Ping's name at this moment. Seeing that no one else was around, Ricky finally said, "It's because Lord Xia has already signed a contract with Lord Divine Master. He himself is a Divine Master who walks the universe." What? Did you really find the Lord God? Lord Divine Master actually signed a contract with a human? How is that possible? Ricky, this isn't a joke. Is this true or not? Grand Elder Cecil and the rest were shocked by this news. They looked at Xia Ping and Ricky in disbelief. The way they looked at Xia Ping had completely changed. If this was true, then it would be earth-shattering news to the Trant tribe. Of course it's true. I saw it with my own eyes. Elder Ricky said seriously. Divine Master? Are you talking about the World Tree? Xia Ping waved his hand, and a branch of the World Tree immediately reached out from the depths of the void. It seemed to tear the space apart as it emitted a mighty, immortal, vast, and other aura. The moment this aura appeared, it immediately enveloped the entire tree world. This was especially so for Cecil and the rest, who were near the World Tree. They immediately wanted to prostrate themselves on the ground. It was as if this aura had a natural suppressive effect on the Trant race. This power contained the most fundamental energy of the Trant race. It seemed to be able to trace back to the moment when the universe was first formed. It caused their bloodlines to tremble, and they almost couldn't raise their heads. If not for Xia Ping controlling the power of the World Tree, they would probably have been pressed to the ground. This was because the power of the World Tree suppression on them was too great. Even Cecil, who had comprehended the law of space, couldn't resist this power. Heavens, this power is indeed Lord Divine Master. There's no doubt about it. Lord Divine Master can actually be revived. The heavens are really blessing the Trant race. Ricky, you've done a great service, a great service. Great Elder Cecil and the others knelt down in front of Xia Ping with tears in their eyes, as if they were gods who had found their home. Boundless emotions welled up from the depths of their hearts. All right, enough nonsense. What's going on with this holy tree? Why did you fall into a weakened state? Xia Ping waved his hand and wanted to get straight to the point. Hearing this, Great Elder Cecil calmed his emotions and said in a deep voice, "The sacred tree of our tree world is called the Void Banyan Tree. It contains powerful world energy and can form a world of its own. At its peak, it can even contend against ancient sages. It has mastered the law of space and the law of time. It is extremely powerful and does not fear any race. But hundreds of millions of years ago, we fell into the trap of the Zerg. Unexpectedly, they found the nemesis of the Void Banyan Tree, the wood-devouring bug. It entered the body of the sacred tree and devoured the soul and essence of the sacred tree. During this period of time, the Zerg have been chasing after our Trant race, trying to devour our sacred tree completely. But the sacred tree relied on its ability to travel through the void and easily avoided the pursuit of the Zerg. But hundreds of millions of years have passed, and our sacred tree has continued to weaken, devoured by the wood-devouring bug. Today, the sacred tree is extremely weak and is on the verge of death. Many of the Trant race elders gritted their teeth in grief and indignation. Why is the Zerg chasing after your Trant race? Xia Ping asked. Because the origin of our sacred tree, the Void Banyan Tree, is a great tonic for the Zerg. If they can devour the origin of the sacred tree, then the Zerg can immediately increase the number of powerful Zerg sages. So for hundreds of millions of years, they have never given up on the idea of exterminating our Treant race. Great Elder Cecil expressed that the origin of the Treant race was a great tonic for the Zerg. Since you know the problem lies with the wood-devouring bug, why don't you find a way to get rid of it? Xiaoping asked another question. If we can get rid of it, we want as well. Great Elder Cecil said helplessly, the problem is that the wood-devouring bug is too terrifying. It is no wonder they are the nemesis of the sacred tree. They can easily integrate into the body of the sacred tree and entangle with its soul like a parasite. If we want to get rid of the wood-devouring bug, then we must destroy the soul of the sacred tree. But if we do that, the sacred tree will be dead for sure. There is no point in doing that. They expressed that it was too late for them to know that the wood-devouring bug had appeared. By the time they found out, the void banyan tree was already beyond cure and had been completely eroded by the wood-devouring bug. Only the void banyan tree could resist the wood-devouring bug for hundreds of millions of years with its immense power. Otherwise, it would have died in a few years. But even so, after resisting for hundreds of millions of years and being seriously injured by the Zerg several times, the void banyan tree could no longer hold on and was in a state of near death. But if that's the case, do you really believe that I can solve this problem? Xiaoping looked at the many Treant elders. With the Lord God around, there will definitely be no problem. Even if the Lord God's power is only at the newborn level, it is not something that the wood-devouring bug can resist. Great Elder Cecil said confidently, the most important thing is that the Lord God has a special ability for our Treant race. It is called the spring of the withered tree. Even if the sacred tree dies, as long as the Lord God is still around, the sacred tree can be resurrected again. The other Treant elders also nodded. They were extremely confident in the power of the world tree. Even if it was only in its infancy, it was not an ordinary life form. Interesting, then I will give it a try. Where is the void banyan tree? Xiaoping waved his hand. Please follow me. The sacred tree is just in front. Great Elder Cecil immediately said and led the way. Not long after, Xiaoping was brought to the center of the tree world. He saw a towering tree standing on this piece of land. It seemed to be connected to the earth and the sky. It was unfathomable and incomparably majestic. No one knew how huge it was. It exuded an ancient, eternal, void, and other aura. It was an ancient life form that had lived for an unknown period of time. But at this moment, the appearance of this great life form was in a state of withered. All the water had evaporated, and all the life force had been sucked out. Vaguely, this was a huge dead tree. It was as if the branches would fall at any time. Many of the leaves had also turned yellow, and most of the bark had fallen off. For a tree, this was simply a heavy blow. As the saying goes, a man needs his face, and a tree needs its bark. One could imagine how important the bark was to a tree. It was simply like its soul. Please remember the original domain name of this book, mobile version website. Chapter 2236. At this moment, billions of light years away, an enormous insectoid army was traveling through the void, flying toward the tree world. Everywhere they went was a land of death. All the planets had been devoured, and even the sun had been devoured. The number of this bug race army was unimaginable. It reached trillions of them, covering the entire starry sky. It was enough to make one's scalp tingle. This was the bug race, a race that could destroy worlds. At this time, at the core of the bug race army, 3 near ancient sage-level insect race saints and 9 peak immortal level insect race saints appeared. They were the main force that was attacking the tree world. For the bug race that stood at the peak of the universe, this force was more than enough to deal with a small Treant race. After all, most of their forces were in the central universe and the mystic zones. The puppet bug is dead. Its soul aura has completely dissipated. It seems like the Treant race has discovered it. The one who spoke was a near ancient sage of the bug race, the mosquito Taoist. It had a human body and a mosquito head. It had a long blood-sucking mouth that emitted a blood-red light. Its entire body emitted a strong smell of blood. This was because it had devoured countless living beings. With a single breath, it could devour the blood of all living beings on an entire planet. It was a peerless demon through and through. Damn the Trant race. How dare you kill it despite knowing that the puppet bug is an important subordinate of our bug race. The Trant race deserves to die. They must be annihilated. A powerful consciousness fluctuation came from the void, shaking the space. The one who spoke was a black ant. It was the near ancient sage of the bug race, the black ant Taoist. Its body was huge, spanning thousands of kilometers. It was pitch black and wore an indestructible black armor. Its two antennae trembled slightly, seemingly transmitting a strange, spiritual fluctuation that distorted the void. At this moment, it was furious. It could not wait to slaughter the entire Trant race for the death of the puppet bug. After all, it was not easy for a puppet bug to be born. No one knew how long it would take for another to be born after the death of one. It was an extremely important combat force of the bug race. TSK Tisk, there's no need to rush. Those stupid Trant tribe won't be able to escape. We'll reach the tree world very soon and kill all of them. We'll devour their holy tree source. In this way, we can immediately ascend to the realm of the Middle Ages sages, or even reach the realm of the ancient sages in the near future. The one who spoke was the remaining near ancient saint, Locust True Monarch. Its wings continuously flapped, producing millions upon millions of vibrations. Wung-wung sounds rang through the air, shaking his blood vessels until they swelled. If an ordinary person heard such a voice, even a lightning tribulation eminence would have their soul shattered. It was also an extremely evil and cruel, peerless devil. Everywhere it went, it simply annihilated everything. Not only living beings, but even rocks, rivers, and soil were all devoured. Wherever True Monarch Locust passed by, many planets would be destroyed and devoured, leaving behind only scraps. This was enough to prove True Monarch Locust's greedy and cruel personality. The appearance of these three great insect race saints would definitely be able to exterminate a race, causing people to tremble in fear. Cut the crap and advance at full speed. Once we reach the tree world, we'll exterminate the entire Trant race. Taoist one gave the order with a murderous aura. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Many insect race armies advanced at full speed. They actually accelerated again, rapidly approaching the tree world. Along the way, planets were submerged one after another and finally turned into nothingness. At this time, in the tree world, Xia Ping approached the sacred tree, the Void Banyan. He could feel the deathly stillness emanating from the sacred tree, as well as bursts of unwillingness to live. Even ants wanted to live, let alone other life forms. Sensing this deathly stillness, the world tree in the depths of his sea of consciousness also trembled. It seemed to be transmitting an angry look, indicating that the Void Banyan was its people, and no one was allowed to hurt them. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In an instant, thousands of roots of the world tree immediately gushed out of Xia Ping's body, penetrating into every corner of the Void Banyan's body. Boom! He suddenly sensed that he seemed to have entered a world of nothingness in the soul space. He saw the soul of a towering tree in this space, but this tree had been devoured by hundreds and thousands of gray insects. It was full of holes and potholes everywhere, as if all its vitality had disappeared. This situation was simply shocking. Hundreds and thousands of gray insects were tearing at the soul of the Void Banyan. But there was nothing the Void Banyan could do about it. Because this was where the soul of the Void Banyan was located, no power could be easily used. These are wood-devouring insects. Xia Ping narrowed his eyes and sensed that hundreds and thousands of gray insects had completely wrapped the soul of the Void Banyan, revealing their hideous faces and entangling with each other. It was no wonder that Cecil and the other elders of the Trant race did not dare to act rashly. After all, once these gray insects were killed, the soul of the Void Banyan would also completely collapse. These wood-devouring insects seemed to have also sensed Xia Ping's arrival. Each of their faces showed a look of disdain, as if they had experienced such things countless times. They were unmoved. In their eyes, Xiaoping was also someone who did not dare to make a move against them because they had now merged with the Void Banyan. There was no distinction between them and a small fry like him. Once the Void Banyan completely collapsed, they could completely devour the power of the Void Banyan to strengthen themselves. Sensing this situation, the World Tree was also extremely angry, but there was nothing it could do. Even with the power of the World Tree, there was no way to solve this problem. This was because it had no confidence that it could kill the wood-devouring insects and save the life of the Void Banyan at the same time. System, do you have any way to solve this problem? After thinking about it, Xiaoping still felt that he should be able to find a solution by asking the omnipotent system. This is simple. The host's own power, the Hellfire, can solve this problem. The system replied, "What do you mean?" Xiaoping was stunned. The flame has its own will, and it can clearly distinguish between hostility and friend. This is also the intrinsic power of the flame. Moreover, the host's power itself is the nemesis of these insects. The system said, "What?" Hearing these words, Xiaoping's body trembled. It was as if a light flashed in the depths of his mind. He remembered the phoenix's nest, the fuso tree, the golden crow's nest, and so on. These were all divine trees of heaven and earth. The reason why these divine birds like to live in the divine trees was because the divine trees could provide them with the power to grow. At the same time, the various diseases and pests that appeared on the divine trees also needed the help of these divine birds to solve them. It could be said that the two sides were interdependent. The divine birds had an innate restraining effect on these insects. They were their natural nemesis. Chapter 22:37. Thinking of this, Xiaoping did not hesitate. He operated the infernal golden crow flames in his body and poured them into the deepest part of the Void Banyan soul space. Whoosh, the infernal golden crow flames quickly condensed into infernal golden crows. There were hundreds of them, thousands of them, and they shone like suns that would never be extinguished. Sensing these flames and the vigorous vitality, the Void Banyan tree, which was originally extremely weak, suddenly recovered some of its vitality as if it had been infused with a huge amount of life energy. The wood-devouring bugs, which were devouring the Void Banyan soul, instinctively felt a fatal crisis, as if their natural enemy was attacking. The bugs' natural enemy was birds. "Damn bird, don't come over. Scram immediately. Come any closer, or we won't be polite to you. Be careful, or we'll perish together with this tree. Don't force us to be ruthless. Stop, you bunch of mixed birds. You feathered animals, stop immediately. When we are ruthless, even we are afraid of ourselves. We are very savage, do you know that?" Hundreds and thousands of wood-devouring bugs screamed in fear. Their voices were filled with anger and malice. At the same time, they produced extremely terrifying soul fluctuations that seemed capable of destroying everything. After absorbing most of the Void Banyan's energy, the wood-devouring bugs had grown to a terrifying level. Ordinary immortal saints would not be able to do anything to them. They might even be killed by them. Waves of tyrannical fluctuations came from the wood-devouring bugs. Hundreds and thousands of them stacked together, forming spatial fluctuations visible to the naked eye. They could shatter all souls. Unfortunately, the one they encountered was Xiaoping, not an ordinary immortal saint. He had even killed a few near ancient saints. These wood-devouring bugs were nothing but ants. Whoosh, hundreds and thousands of infernal golden crows rushed over, flapping their wings. The entire soul space was filled with terrifying flames, instantly enveloping the Void Banyan soul. However, the Void Banyan was not burned to death by the flames. Instead, it was infused with a majestic life energy. It was like a long drought meeting with sweet dew. At this moment, Xiaoping had also comprehended some of the true essence of fire. If he could completely grasp the power of fire, then with a single strike, he would be able to kill any hostile enemy. Those who were not hostile would not be killed. Instead, they would be protected and infused with life energy. This was the will of flames. It could distinguish between friend and foe. The wood-devouring bugs let out miserable cries. Their entire bodies were wrapped up in the infernal golden crow's flames and immediately burned, producing a terrifying destructive force. They couldn't resist for even a second and were instantly turned into ashes, all of them burned to death. At the same time, the flame also covered the whole body of the void banyan tree, and a huge amount of life force was instilled into it. This was the flames of the sun crow, the flames of the sun. Not only did it symbolize extreme destruction and destruction, it also symbolized life and new life, and it contained unparalleled vitality. Under the shroud of the golden crow's fire, the void banyan's originally damaged soul also recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye. Even the essential energy of the world tree was injected into the void banyan tree to repair the damage caused by the wood-devouring insects. What is this feeling? There are benefits to swallowing these wood-eating bugs. After killing these wood-devouring insects, Xiaoping was shocked to discover that these wood-devouring insects actually gave birth to wisps of green origin energy that flowed through the void and into his limbs and bones. It was obvious that these insects were also of great benefit to Xiaoping. They were equivalent to great tonics, no less than the longevity pill. Clatter, he suddenly sensed that the magic power in his body was increasing at a speed visible to the naked eye. 100,000 years of magic power, 200,000 years of magic power, 500,000 years of magic power, 1 million years of magic power, 2 million years of magic power, and finally, it had increased to 5 million years of magic power. Moreover, this was not a magic power with impurities, but extremely pure magic power from the golden crow of hell itself. It contained tyrannical power and was unfathomable. At the same time, the golden crow of hell cells in Xiaoping's body were also frantically awakening, making crackling sounds. There seemed to be countless golden crows of hell awakening in the depths of his body, instilling a huge amount of golden crow of hell energy. By the time he finished swallowing the energy of these wood-devouring insects, the number of golden crow of hell cells in his body had awakened to a total of 5 billion, and his power was strong enough to shake the void. At this time, many of the elders of the tree tribe also discovered that the holy tree had undergone earth-shattering changes. The holy tree, there are flames on the holy tree. A tree tribe elder pointed to the front and couldn't help but exclaim. Many of the tree tribe looked over, and they were shocked to find that the holy tree was emitting a huge mass of red flames. Even the entire tree world was wrapped in this mass of flames. However, these flames didn't seem to have any destructive power. Instead, they were full of vitality. When the sun shone on each of the tree tribe, they felt like they were in a sauna. Waves of warm heat energy were instilled into them, as if they were undergoing a photosynthetic reaction. This heat that came from the sun was the energy of life essence, and it was also of great benefit to the tree tribe. It was as if they had received a huge supplement. The strength of each of the tree tribe seemed to have been greatly improved. Look, the aura of the wood-devouring insects has disappeared. Not a single one was left. A tree tribe elder exclaimed excitedly. He sensed that the evil aura of the wood-devouring insects hidden in the depths of the void banyan's soul had disappeared completely. The deathly aura that entangled the holy tree's body had also disappeared, and in its place was a vigorous life force. An exuberant green aura was born from the holy tree's body, just like a withered tree in spring. This energy from the tree origin was even enhancing the void banyan's bloodline and aptitude, raising its soul level to a new level. Lord Xia has succeeded. He has saved the holy tree. Great. This is really great. Our world doesn't need to be destroyed. As expected of Lord God. He's too powerful. Even the wood-devouring insects couldn't do anything to Lord God. Many of the tree tribe elders clenched their fists and cried tears of joy. The haze that had been hanging over them for many years had dissipated at this moment, and there was hope for a new life. As long as their holy tree and their tree world weren't destroyed, everything could be restarted and the tree tribe wouldn't be wiped out. He finally succeeded. It seems that Lord Xia isn't an ordinary person. Compared to the excitement of the elders, great elder Cecil had a deeper feeling. He sensed that it wasn't Lord God who took action this time, but Xiaoping himself. It was Xiaoping's magical power that allowed him to kill these wood-devouring insects and save the Void Banyan at the same time. No wonder Lord God would sign a contract with this human. It seems that this human is also very important to Lord God's growth. They complement each other. This is also an important opportunity for our tree tribe. Great Elder Cecil's eyes revealed a glimmer of wisdom. Chapter 2238. After an unknown amount of time, the transformation of the Void Banyan tree finally stopped. The tree world that was on the verge of collapse suddenly stabilized, and all the damaged roots grew again. The flames that enveloped the Void Banyan tree had also disappeared completely. At this moment, Xiaoping sensed that he and the Void Banyan tree seemed to have a spiritual connection. It was as if he and the Void Banyan tree had become one, and he himself was a part of the Void Banyan tree. Vaguely, he seemed to feel that the Void Banyan tree had become a part of him, and he could use a part of the Void Banyan tree's power to communicate with the origin of the universe at any time and anywhere. As a contract been signed, his heart moved, and a trace of understanding was immediately born from the depths of his heart. The Void Banyan tree was grateful to him for saving its life, so it signed a life contract and willingly surrendered to him, becoming his servant. Of course, the biggest reason why the Void Banyan tree was willing to do so was because of the existence of the World Tree. With the origin of the World Tree in hand, Xiaoping was born to rule all plants, including the Void Banyan tree. Moreover, staying beside the World Tree could also make the Void Banyan tree evolve faster. It's a pity that the injuries on the Void Banyan tree have not completely recovered. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. He could sense that the Void Banyan tree was still in a weak state. Although he had gotten rid of the wood-devouring bugs, the damage caused by the wood-devouring bugs to the Void Banyan tree over the years was not something that could be recovered in a short time. It would take a certain amount of time. Now, the Void Banyan tree had only recovered a little bit of its vitality. Compared to its heyday, it was far from being able to recover. However, with the passage of time, it was only a matter of time before it fully recovered its strength. The World Tree has also gained a lot of benefits. Xiaoping's heart skipped a beat, and his soul sank into the depths of his sea of consciousness. The World Tree, which had obtained a part of the Void Banyan tree's origin power, also seemed to have received a great supplement. Its entire body swelled up, and its strength increased at a geometric rate. A circle of tyrannical waves spread out from the World Tree, and countless world runes gushed out from its body, as if forming a supreme scripture, unfathomable. It seemed that the powerful law of space crazily poured into the World Tree's body, forming an independent space in every part of its body, and its whole body exuded the aura of the world. Bang! After an unknown amount of time, the void shook, and Xiaoping's soul left the soul space of the Void Banyan. At this moment, he finally regained consciousness. He turned around and immediately saw the Tran tribe looking at him with reverence and worship, as if they were looking at a god. Their anger seemed to have turned into incomparable fanaticism. Lord Xia, with a slap, all the elders of the Tran tribe knelt on the ground and respectfully saluted Xiaoping. From today onwards, we, the Tran tribe, will be the servants of Lord Xia. We will follow Lord Xia's lead and will never abandon him until the end of time. Great Elder Cecil knelt on the ground and swore an oath. There seemed to be a kind of oath power that resonated with the laws of the universe. All of a sudden, Xiaoping sensed that the power of the oath seemed to have connected him with the Tran tribe, allowing them to prosper together. He knew that he had gained the allegiance of these Trans. One had to know that Cecil was a near ancient sage who had comprehended the law of space. Even in the universe, he was a mythical character. For such a great character to actually kneel in front of an undying sage, it was unknown how many people would be scared out of their wits. Gaining the allegiance of a near ancient sage was simply an earth-shattering matter. After all, killing a sage was easy, but subduing a sage was incomparably difficult. It was even harder than ascending to the heavens. Rise, Xiaoping nodded. He felt that this was a matter of course. He possessed the world tree, and these Tran tribe members were born to be his guards and soldiers. Moreover, with the power of the Tran tribe, his forces would immediately expand by more than a few times. Oh no! Right at this moment, a Trant race guard barged in from the outside. He was flustered as he shouted, "Elders, great elder, the insect race has already killed their way here. They're just outside and have set up an inescapable net." What? Hearing this, all the elders and soldiers of the Trant tribe were shocked. They completely did not expect the insect race's army to arrive so quickly. It was so fast that they could not even react. According to their calculations, they would need at least a few days to arrive. They did not expect that they would arrive so quickly. Walala, one by one, the Trant tribe elders spread out their divine senses, extending along the tree world to other voids to sense the situation outside. Sure enough, the surrounding void was filled with a dense insect race army. They came from all directions, and their numbers reached hundreds of millions. It was simply a scene that made one's scalp go numb. These insect race soldiers covered the surrounding void, forming restriction formations one after another. They sealed off the void, completely cutting off the space that the tree world could escape to. In the depths of the insect race army, there was even a tyrannical sage aura. There were at least 3 insect race powerhouses that were near ancient sage level guarding this place. However, their Trant tribe only had one near ancient sage. Whether it was the high-end combat power or the low-end combat power, the disparity was too great. It cannot be measured by miles. This is the insect race. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. His divine senses spread further than any of the Trants, so of course, he had a deeper feeling. He could sense how terrifying these insect race soldiers were. All of them were battle-hardened and did not fear death. If they really attacked, they would be able to devour the tree world in an instant, leaving nothing behind. I'm afraid the death of the puppet worm has completely enraged the insect race army, causing them to speed up to where our tree world is. A Trant tribe elder clenched his fists and voiced his guess. Damn it, it's all that puppet worm's fault. If it wasn't a spy, the specific location of our tree world wouldn't have been discovered by the insect race so quickly. That bastard deserves to die. There's no use saying all this now. The puppet worm is already dead. Killing it a few times won't be enough to appease the hatred in our hearts. We should think about what we should do next. That's right. Fortunately, the sacred tree has recovered. Otherwise, we would be dead for sure. The problem is that we've only gotten rid of the wood-devouring bugs in the sacred tree's body. The sacred tree's injuries haven't fully recovered. I'm afraid it won't be able to use much power for the time being. Moreover, the surrounding void has been sealed. With the sacred tree's power, it's difficult for it to escape. The insect race came too quickly. If they came a few days later, we would have been able to escape. Many Trant tribe elders clenched their fists with solemn expressions. Even the joy of the sacred tree's recovery was diluted. After all, the insect race army was charging over in a mighty manner. They were facing the crisis of extinction. This was a moment of life and death. Chapter 2239. Sir Xiao, what should we do? Great Elder Cecil looked at Xiaoping, wanting to know his current thoughts. There's no need to rush. We'll deal with whatever comes our way, Xiaoping said calmly. Xiaoping calmly said. He could sense that the insectoid army was not too powerful. There were only 3 near-ancient saints and 9 undying saints. He could still deal with them. If the other party had a sage of the Middle Ages, he would definitely run away immediately. However, in this situation, there was no need at all. He had the strength to fight the insectoid army to the death. But the other party has 3 sages who have comprehended the law of space. Their strength is not to be underestimated. Cecil was worried. There's no need to worry about that. Later, you'll take the initiative and entangle the 3 sages. As long as we can delay them for a bit and distract them, I'll naturally have a way to capture them all in one fell swoop. Xiaoping said confidently. I see. If Sir Xia is confident, then we'll naturally accompany you to the end. Hearing this, Great Elder Cecil finally made up his mind. He could see that Xiaoping was not bluffing, and there was no need for him to do so. He seemed to have absolute confidence. If it was an ordinary immortal sage who said this, he would just treat it as a fart. However, he did not doubt the mysterious human who had signed a contract with the World Tree. Even the great existence of the World Tree could sign a contract with this human. This was something that had never happened before. No one would believe that such a person was an idiot. Moreover, now that things had come to this, he could only fight with his life on the line. Thinking of this, Cecil's eyes flashed with a cold light. It seemed to have penetrated the barrier of the tree world and reached the void billions of miles away. At this time, the insectoid army finally arrived near the tree world. They were majestic and aggressive. The three near-ancient sages, when Taoist, Black Ant Taoist, and True Monarch Locust, stood in the void and stared at the tree world in the distance. Their expressions were extremely gloomy. Damn it, the tree world has indeed undergone an unpredictable change. The wood-devouring bugs that were originally on the void banyan have disappeared. What method did those treants find to get rid of the wood-devouring bugs? The Taoist did not expect this at all. In his mind, the void banyan was already dead and would definitely rot under the influence of the wood-devouring bugs. Once they arrived, they could easily clean up this mess and destroy the treant tribe. However, they never expected that all the wood-devouring bugs would be dead, and the void banyan tree seemed to have recovered. This was a huge blow to the Zerg's plan. No wonder they're so arrogant and dare to kill our insect clan's puppet insects. It turns out that they found a way to get rid of the wood-devouring insects. This group of treants is really doing a good job. Taoist Black Ant's expression was ferocious. At this moment, it finally understood why the treant tribe was so arrogant. It turned out that they had their own confidence after dealing with the void banyan. However, when it thought about how the insect race had laid out their plan for billions of years, and that a huge accident had occurred just as it was about to be completed, it was filled with boundless rage. Don't worry. So what if all the wood-devouring bugs are dead? After hundreds of millions of years of devouring, the void banyan tree is already in an extremely weak state. True Monarch Locust sneered. Now that our insectoid army has arrived here, and with the alliance of the three near-ancient sages, our strength is unparalleled and invincible. Destroying this tree world will be a piece of cake. They're just a group of weak treants. No matter how they struggle and how crazy they are, it's useless. They will eventually be completely destroyed by our insect race army and cease to exist. A terrible black, murderous aura permeated from its body, condensing into a substance. It seemed to be able to easily tear the void and condense countless black shadows, which made people shudder. Let's do it. There's no need to talk nonsense with these weak treants. Tear the tree world's formation and kill all the treants inside. Wipe out their entire clan and leave no one alive. The first to make a move was the Taoist. With a grab of its big hand, a middle-grade sacred artifact, the blood-devouring sting, immediately appeared in its hand. This was a bloody sting that was hundreds of meters long. It was a mosquito's mouth that had transformed from its original body and was refined with many rare materials from the universe. It had special abilities such as breaking through defenses, devouring blood, cursing, poison, and so on. Once hit by the blood-devouring sting, even an immortal sage's blood would be completely devoured. All their blood essence would be devoured by the Taoist. Even an immortal sage would not be able to resist it. With this middle-grade sacred artifact, the Taoist had slaughtered many immortal sages. It had even used the flesh and blood essence of these immortal sages to comprehend the law of space and step into the realm of sages. It could be said that the Taoist was an extremely terrifying demon. Just hearing its name would make people tremble in fear. In an instant, its figure flickered with extreme speed. It turned into a beam of black light and passed through thousands of layers of space. It arrived near the tree world and stabbed the blood-devouring sting in its hand. With a swoosh, a terrifying blood-colored light condensed into a sharp mouth. It contained a terrifying power to break through defenses. It tore through space and stabbed at the tree world. The blood-colored light seemed to turn into a sea of blood and demons along its path. It gave off a demonic aura that could make countless living beings go crazy. Tree World Barrier. At that moment, Grand Elder Cecil finally made his move. He formed a seal with both hands and immediately communicated with the many formations of the tree world itself. One formation after another appeared in the depths of space. Rumble, the entire tree world shone with green light, forming layers of green barriers. There were thousands of them. It seemed to have formed an absolute space barrier that isolated everything. Dawn. The blood-colored light bombarded over and easily tore through the layers of green barriers. It wiped out many green runes and life aura and dyed everything red. The entire tree world was also hit hard, as if it was about to be smashed into pieces. The ground was shattered into pieces, as if there was a magnitude 9 earthquake. Countless tree ants could feel the intense shaking. It was like the end of the world. However, the barrier of the tree world was still indestructible. It blocked the blood-colored light and did not break through. Cecil, you are so stubborn. Do you think you can fight against the insect race with just a near-ancient sage and an old and weak soldier? What wishful thinking. I will tell you today that I will destroy the tree ant race. No one can stop me. This day next year will be the death anniversary of the tree ant race. The wind Taoist roared. It could feel Cecil's power and determination to stop it. However, it became even more violent. Its anger multiplied. If it did not destroy the entire tree ant race today, it would not be able to quell its anger. Chapter 2240. When Taoist, you're the one who's delusional. It's just the insect race, nothing. With me, Cecil, here, your insect race won't be able to touch a single hair of my tree ant race. Cecil sneered and transmitted waves of sound waves. They condensed into substance and spread out for billions of kilometers, producing a terrifying spiritual wave that seemed to penetrate through thousands of layers of space. This power simply destroyed everything when it spread out. A group of insect race soldiers couldn't withstand it all and were all killed, turning into clouds of blood mist. But to the enormous insect race army, this was nothing more than a drop in the ocean. As expected of a stubborn dog, you won't shed tears until you see the coffin. Since that's the case, I'll send you to heaven and let you accompany the tree ant race in death. The one who spoke was the Black Ant Taoist. He formed a seal with both hands and operated the supreme demonic art in his body, the demonic invincible scripture. Walala, a huge demonic aura surged out from his body, filling up the surrounding millions of kilometers and covering thousands of layers of space. This demonic aura condensed into densely packed demonic runes. These black runes quickly squirmed as if they had a life of their own. They condensed into billions of black ants, each of which was condensed from demonic aura. Their bodies contained undying and indestructible talismans, emitting a terrifying demonic aura that could devour the heaven and earth. And these ants were called demonic ants. They had the power to tear apart all matter and devour all terrifying energy. Billions of them rushed over, and even a planet would be devoured cleanly in an instant. They even contained the power of undying. As long as the Black Ant Taoist didn't die, a single thought from him would cause the millions of demonic ants to be reborn. Even if a near-ancient saint used his spatial domain, he still wouldn't be able to kill these demonic ants. They would come in groups and devour every single spatial domain. Kill! The Black Ant Taoist sneered and waved his hand. A huge demonic aura surged forth like a spatial storm, instantly enveloping half of the tree world. Billions of demonic ants rushed over and crazily bit the barrier of the tree world. Kacha. The barrier of the tree world was also shrinking at a visible rate. The power of these demonic ants was too terrifying. Even a spatial barrier would be easily bitten to pieces by them. Banyan tree enchantment. Annihilate everything. Sweep away all obstacles. Great Elder Cecil shouted loudly, and a cold glint appeared in his eyes. He communicated with all the restrictive formations in the entire tree world. This was the accumulation of the Treant race over billions of years. In order to protect their nest, they simply gave it their all. They used a large amount of resources to build restriction formations, and they simply built the tree world into a war fortress. Even if they were weaker than the Zergs, it was impossible for them to break through in a short time. Rumble. Suddenly, the entire tree world trembled. It seemed to have combined with the supreme power of the Void Banyan tree itself. Waves of power of law surged out of the Void Banyan tree and resonated with the many restrictive formations. Immediately, with the Void Banyan tree as the center, a huge space enchantment was created. The hundreds of millions of Void Banyan tree roots emanating from the body of the Void Banyan tree were also gently trembling, blasting out from the depths of the void in all directions. Bang, bang, bang. Hundreds of millions of roots containing the power of space were simply indestructible. They blasted towards the heavenly devil ants and fought against each other. It was as if two armies were fighting. An intense rumbling sound were heard in the air. One by one, the heavenly devil ants were torn apart by the roots, but they quickly regenerated. They were indestructible. Clouds of demonic chi tumbled like raging waves. The two forces were in a stalemate, and the victor could not be determined for a moment. Damn the Treant race, you do have some ability to be able to resist two near-ancient saints. You have a deep foundation, but this is the end of it. True Monarch Locust, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? The mosquito Taoist shouted with a murderous aura. Seeing Cecil resist the joint attack of two near-ancient saints by himself, even though he had borrowed the power of the tree world itself, it was still infuriated. It felt that this was the greatest insult to the insect race. Because according to his thinking, this kind of war should be easy and not in a stalemate. You actually need me to take action. It seems that this old bastard is indeed a bit capable, but this is the end of it. It's just a tree world. Watch how I break it. At this time, True Monarch Locust finally made his move. He operated the supreme demonic art in his body, the great demonic calamity technique. Clouds of yellow calamity aura emerged from his body, seeping out from hundreds of millions of layers of space. It seemed to be communicating with countless calamity auras, quickly gathering together and filling a radius of hundreds of millions of kilometers. Whoosh! In an instant, these yellow calamity auras condensed into terrifying locusts. These locusts seemed to be engraved with calamity runes. These were calamity locusts. Wherever they went, they would bring with them the power of calamity that could destroy everything. It was like the end of the world. Once these calamity locusts appeared, wherever they went, humans and animals would die, the earth would dry up, and rivers would be cut off. They plundered all life, bringing endless calamities. This was a power of calamity that was even more terrifying than the appearance of the demonic ants. Although it was not comparable to the 3 calamities and 6 disasters that Gaia had mastered, it was still an extremely terrifying magical power. It contained a strong destructive power. Even if it was an ancient sage, once they were eroded by these calamity auras, they would fall into a state of decay and show signs of self-destruction. The lethality was extremely shocking. Kill! True Monarch Locust roared angrily and slammed his palm toward the tree world, passing through millions of layers of space. It seemed to have formed a huge calamity space domain within his body. Everywhere he went, all kinds of calamities occurred. Buzz! Suddenly, hundreds of millions of calamity locusts flew toward the tree world. They flapped their wings and buzzed, seeming to carry a terrifying demonic aura, forming a yellow storm. Bang! 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 These calamity locusts also pounced on the barrier of the tree world and crazily tore at the restrictive formations on it. At the same time, the violent storm tore everything apart, shattering one restrictive formation after another. At this moment, the entire tree world was shaking violently, as if there was a magnitude 9 earthquake. Shocking cracks appeared, and countless roots and branches of the Void Banyan's body were broken. Even the earth was torn apart, forming dense spiderwebs. Many of the tree ants were panicking, as if they had encountered the end of the world. It seemed like they would be annihilated in the next second. Lord Xiao, what do we do now? I can't hold them off any longer. The battle was coming, and Cecil was burning with anxiety. He could feel the power of the three ancient sages blasting over, corroding every corner of the tree world. Even though the trance had millions of years of accumulation, they were completely obliterated at this moment. One restrictive formation after another collapsed. If the tree world's barrier was breached, all the tree men would be dead.